The following is an exclusive presentation of Turner Sports.
In the wild kingdom, the eagle is master of the air. It is an enduring symbol of power and determination. Since 1933, a rare breed has claimed Philadelphia as its rightful territory. Last week, these eagles descended upon a pack of hungry lions. But in moments, the pride from Detroit was weakened. With a keen eye, these majestic birds swooped in and stole the lion's quarry. And while this master of flight displayed his grace in the air, this bald eagle fought and won his battle on the ground. The falcon is also a bird of power and elegance. Though the falcon is not as majestic as the eagle, what it lacks in size, it compensates for with speed and surprise, using sudden bursts to outmaneuver its prey, while using the terrain to conceal its attack. It will be a battle for supremacy in the unfriendly skies when these two birds of prey meet tonight in the Georgia Dome.
We come to you from the lovely city of Atlanta. Less than 7 weeks ago, a city which was celebrating the closing of the Centennial Olympic Games, and a city which this afternoon learned that its beloved Braves had cinched yet another baseball title, the National League East, and a city which tonight is hopeful that the Atlanta Falcons can win their first game of the 1996 National Football League season with a formidable foe here, the Philadelphia Eagles. Good evening, everybody. I'm Vern Lundquist, and welcome to Atlanta. Tonight, we offer you two birds under glass. Both of these teams, playoff teams, in 1995. But while the Falcons are looking for their first, Philadelphia tonight has a chance to tie the Washington Redskins for the early lead in the NFC East. I'm joined, as always, by Pat Hayden. And Patrick, last week at home against Detroit, the Eagles got off to a great start, and particularly Ricky Watters did.
Remember, Joe Panos, the starting guard for the Eagles, was telling us last night, when we get Ricky Watters started early, he is that good run early. A whole offense plays better. Our wide receivers play better. The offensive line get in the rhythm. The quarterback seems to play better. So they want to get the ball to Ricky Watters and have him start well. And, you know, they have good offensive players. They have some real good wide receivers. Rodney Pete's playing well. But I think this offense starts with that guy, Ricky Watters.
Well, and of course, it is the task of an Atlanta team to stop Ricky Watters in this Eagle offense. They've got an unsung hero at middle linebacker and a very highly sung outside linebacker.
Yeah, and these linebackers don't want him to get off to that good start. And Jesse Tuggle is playing in the middle, and you can see what's happened on the outside. Bennett's on the outside with 19 tackles, 2 forced fumbles. Jesse Tuggle's the best middle linebacker you've never heard of, and I promise you, Cornelius Bennett and Jesse Tuggle, where Ricky Watters goes, those two guys will be following.
1 year ago, Atlanta found itself as a wild card in the playoffs, and they did so behind the leadership of Jeff George. He had a career season better than 4,000 yards. He's struggling a little bit this year.
Well, you know, a lot of people don't like to run and shoot, but if you're going to run it, I think he's a good quarterback for this because he gets rid of the ball so quickly. But he has struggled, particularly with his accuracy. I mean, he's played very well. This is his third year here in Atlanta, and you see what he's done percentage-wise, 62% and the 60, just 53% this year. They've only scored 2 touchdowns, and I think Atlanta's going to win tonight, and they can. 2 things are going to happen. They're going to have to protect him better. He has been sacked 10 times in their 2 games, and then he's going to have to play better.
Well, despite the disparity of records, Philadelphia 2-1 and Atlanta 0-2, I think most people regard this as a fairly even game, in which case the place kickers could come into play.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of parallels between these 2 kickers in tonight's ball game, and it starts with their names. They're both named Anderson, and they both have had incredible careers. Both immigrated to the United States, never saw a football game until they were teenagers. But you see that both in their 15th year, all-time points, career field goals percentage, they don't miss too often, and these guys are incredible weapons, particularly in the 4th quarter. Morton Anderson has won games 23 times during his 15-year career.
Ray Rhodes, now 45 years of age, in his 2nd year as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Last year, a 1-3 start. But they rebounded with great enthusiasm and made it into the playoffs with Rodney Peete as the starting quarterback, having replaced Randall Cunningham a year ago. And his counterpart, June Jones, in 1995, they had their first winning season in 5 years. But a tough start. They opened this season by losing to a Carolina team, which is now looking like a very, very formidable team to play in the NFL. And, of course, they lost at home to Minnesota, a Minnesota team that is also undefeated. Yeah. So those two losses in retrospect take on a little bit of a different meaning. Rodney Peete, 12 starts a year ago, most ever in his career, which included years at Detroit and Dallas. Ricky Watters talked about what Rodney Peete has meant in the cockpit for this team.
He is not only the leader of our team, you know, especially on offense. You know, he's out there, he's handling things the way, you know, you could just put it this way, you could tell he's more comfortable. He's comfortable a lot more than last year. You know, last year, at times, he was just trying to, you know, just keep his head above the water and just make some plays here and there, you know, and try to get to the next game, you know, with a win. So, but now he's comfortable. He knows his reads. He knows the system. You know, he feels really good with it. You know, we are very confident, you know, that he's going to do the job. We have tremendous confidence in him. And he's taken the leadership role.
Atlanta lost the toss. Philadelphia's Derek Witherspoon takes it 5 yards deep and will run it out. And boy, is he popped. Bounces off the tackle and is finally down by Brad Edwards. David Brandon had a heck of a pop, the initial contact. And here is Rodney Peete when the Eagles have scored on their opening possession of the ball game. The team is 8-0 under Rodney Peete as a starter. And
boy, did he have a game last week. 25 of 30, 284 yards. And Ray Rhodes said, you know, 25 of 30, you can't even do that against the air. So he played well.
From the 20-yard line, 1st and 10. Signal back set. That's Kevin Turner in motion, and they hand it off to Watters. So a little different scenario this week from a week ago when he opened that game against Detroit with a 52-yard run. He gets a couple on the opening sally of the game. And for the Eagles, Irving Fryer, Chris T. Jones at the wideouts. Jason Dunn gets his second start at tight end, and Watters and Kevin Turner in the backfield. And the offensive line, the tackles have been problematic. Brooks and Cooper. Cooper particularly has been injured. Brooks had 2 holding calls last week in the Detroit game. 2nd down and 8. Here's Watters in a sweep to the right. Cut down as he goes right. Cornelius Bennett. And Tim McKyer, number 22, defensively for the Atlanta Falcons. Up front, it's Archambault, Hall, Mo Gardner, and Chuck Smith. The linebackers, Ron George, kind of the unsung man, along with Tuggle among that trio. And in the secondary, they've had problems at the corners, where tonight Tim McKyer gets a start for an injured Anthony Phillips and Darnell Walker. Bush and Bates are the safeties, and June Jones likes his safeties a lot. 3rd and 5. Peete to throw for the first time, maybe. Gets rid of it, caught, 1st down. Cornelius Bennett chases Irving Fryer out of bounds.
Boy, as Irving Fryer made a big difference on this Philadelphia team. Comes here as a free agent from Miami. You know, he had a good year at Miami a year ago, almost 1,000 yards in receptions. And Rodney Peete was talking about Irving Fryer to us last night and said, this guy is absolutely incredible. He's in his 13th year. He runs every play at practice absolutely full speed, run or pass.
Fryer goes to the right side on 1st and 10. Chris T. Jones is wide left. This is Fryer in motion, back split. And the blitz coming, good block. They flip it into the flat for Ricky Watters. He fumbles it out of bounds, and it will be Philadelphia ball at the 37. Kevin Turner, who missed 12 games last season with a knee injury, what a block.
Yeah, and this is what Kevin Turner, number 34, does so well, and that's protect his quarterback. I mean, Kevin Turner makes this Philadelphia team a very versatile team because he blocks, he catches, he's an effective runner. Remember how Tom Rathman was that kind of guy for the 49ers a few years ago? He is the same kind of player for the Eagles.
2nd down and 4. Watters cuts back. Oh, he's dangerous when you give him that kind of maneuvering room. And he picks up another first down at the 45. Tim McKyer makes the tackle on Ricky Watters.
Everybody knows that Ricky Watters is emotionally charged, and that can be a double-edged sword, but he is still their best offensive player. And Vern, he is a big guy, and he is an elusive guy, and I believe he's taken over for Thurman Thomas as the supreme runner and pass receiver out of the backfield, the best in the NFL today.
153 yards on the ground last week and 6 catches to go along with it. Here's Watters again. This time, not much there. He picks up maybe a yard with a double tight end set then, and Cornelius Bennett, who signed a big contract to come here from the Buffalo Bills with the tackle.
And we said June Jones was surprised what they have with Cornelius Bennett, because they thought they had a guy who rushed the passer pretty well, and yeah, he does that. But as you see here, he can stop the run. I mean, last week he had 7 tackles. He had a sack. He forced 2 fumbles. He can run sideline to sideline. They're getting a very versatile player in Cornelius Bennett.
Ray Rhodes is going with a 4 wide receiver set on 2nd down and 8. Sayan Ingram joining Jones and Fryer. Here's Pete, right side, caught just short of the first down, it would appear, but let's see what kind of spot he gets. Irving Fryer.
A rather healthy, generous spot there, and may have picked up the first.
Yep.
And Irving Fryer in his 13th year, Vern, still gets respect, and the cushion. You see how much cushion he has there? And then the ball is delivered on time, and he catches it with his hands. Again, if you don't catch that ball with your hands, it's bobbled and maybe an incomplete pass. But he just kind of swallows the ball. Another first down for the Eagles, driving on the opening series of the ball game. Pete directing Watters left side, and there's motion in the line, and flags fly. Looked like Barrett Brooks may have moved.
Ball start prior to the snap. Offense number 76. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Well, they are an oft-penalized team, are the Eagles. And that's the first of the night. They had 11 last week. They are the 4th most penalized team thus far this season. The leader of the pack, if you want to call it that, the Minnesota Vikings. But they're undefeated, so nobody pays any attention.
The Raiders are always up there in that category. I think they rank number 2 now.
Yeah, Oakland is number 2. First down, 15. Pete with a 3-step drop. Oh, boy. Darnell Walker almost had 6.
Well, you know, that's a heads-up play by Darnell Walker. But I promise you, John Gruden, the offensive coordinator, is going to pump fake that and go deep on him at some point. Right here. Watch him. He's settled in at the corner, reads the slant route, which Philadelphia loves running the slant route to Christy Jones. Well scouted and had a chance. But if you don't come back and pump fake and then go deep, you're making a mistake at some point in this ball game.
File that one, 2nd and 15. Pete, right side. Delivers another one. Here comes Mark Say, number 81, 3 years in San Diego as a Charger. This is his first season with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Vernon, we talked about Rodney Peete being 25 of 30 last week, and this is the best football Rodney Peete has played in his 8 professional seasons. And he said to us last night, I feel comfortable, I am confident, and when you give him protection, and if you can get people around his body, he can throw darts. When he gets in trouble, he gets people in front of him right at his feet, and he didn't necessarily a strong arm like Jeff George to deliver the ball, but those are some darts he's thrown so far.
31, quarterback sneak. They might not have gotten it. They tried 4 last week with success.
I don't think they got that one, but again, well scouted by Rod Russ defense. You're right, Vern. 4 quarterback sneaks last week. They made them all, but Jesse Tuggle ate that one up.
So it'll be 4th down.
That's Jesse Tuggle. Watch as he's going to read the quarterback sneak. I mean, the Eagles clearly have a tendency, and they're going to go for it.
Thus far this season, a perfect 3 of 3 on 4th down. They've got a 4th and 1. Turner out of the backfield to the right. Play action. Pressure. Cornelius Bennett was in Rodney Peete's face with Lester Archambault.
And he one of them, maybe Archambault, tipped that ball because Jason Dunn was open for a first down. Good defensive series for the Falcons. Yeah, the Eagles had something going here on 4th and 1 until on the right of your screen, Cornelius Bennett, number 97, decides to disrupt it and tip the ball. And just like last week when he was or their last game when he was all over the field, although in a losing effort, on that first series he had 3 tackles and a tip ball and a hurry.
They thought they were getting a lot. June Jones says we got more than we bargained for with Cornelius Bennett. Now Jeff George and the Falcons with a run and shoot. And there's a Tyrone Brown starting for J.J. Burton at one wide receiver spot. Here is Terrence Mathis, who catches the little lob, and Jeff George completes his first pass of the night. In his 3rd year with Atlanta, 16 and 18 mark, and his record as a starter, not something you want to shine a spotlight on.
Well, although Vern, I think Jeff George is a real solid player, and a lot of people don't think he is, but he has never played on a team that the defense has ranked better than 20th in the league. So you give this guy good defense. This is one talented player in my estimation.
They pick up a first down, and the ball at the 48-yard line. Hand off to Craig Ironhead Hayward, who missed last week's game, and this one may come back and go 10 yards. Well, we'll check the flag. Walt Coleman is our referee. Holding. Both of these teams have had problems with penalties, and particularly in the offensive line.
Number 7, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
I think it was Bob Whitfield who was guilty of the hold. Brown, Mathis, Tyrone Brown starts for J.J. Burton tonight, and up front Mike Zandowski at right guard missed last week's game. He gets the start. There's Whitfield, who had the holding call. So it's first down and 20. J.J. Burton pulled a hamstring Thursday, we were told. Reoccurrence of an injury first sustained this summer. Now Mathis being directed back to the left side. Hayward comes right. Craig Hayward, who was out with an injury and gave way to Jamal Anderson in the second half of the first game, and all Jamal did was gain 111. Let's check the Philadelphia defense. Fuller, Mamula, Kevin Johnson, and Rhett Hall, the defensive line. They will go with 2 safeties, Zordich and Wilburn, and 1 linebacker, William Thomas, and 4 cornerbacks tonight, Vincent and Taylor, Griffin, and the rookie, Brian Dawkins. So 6 DBs, 1 linebacker, 4 down linemen.
Makes 11, doesn't it?
I hope so. I really hope so.
New math.
Here's George going deep, and it's right in the hands, picked off by Troy Vincent. Wow, it looked like it went right to his hands.
Yeah, and this is one of the things the Falcons have not done this year is throw the ball downfield. And the first time, one of the very few times they've thrown the ball downfield this year, it was a poor throw, a good play by Troy Vincent, and the Eagles get the first turnover of the night. Watch how well Eric Metcalf is covered. This is the guy in the slot, and the Falcons have not gone downtown much this year, and they need to, but not when a guy is this well covered. There's one guy here, another guy here, another guy in front. I mean, there's more guys covering that live in Calcutta. That is just not the right kind of throw.
Charlie Garner comes into the lineup and joins Ricky Waters, and the handoff comes left. Jesse Tuggle, number 58, makes the stop.
Yeah, no surprise that Jesse Tuggle is making the stop. Vern, a guy that 3 straight Pro Bowls in his 10th year. You know, one of those guys that if you're a real fan of the NFL and the fan of football, you need to know more about a guy like Jesse Tuggle and maybe less about some other guys we hear so much about. This is a guy that has played well all 10 years of his career and led his team in tackles for 7.
Over 1,500 tackles for a career now. That, by the way, only the second takeaway by the Eagle defense this season. Here's Pete going deep left side for Irving Fryer. Darnell Walker stride for stride with him. Incidental contact, and Darnell Walker with good coverage.
Yeah, you're right. Let's give Darnell Walker some credit because that's the deep throw. Remember, a little earlier, he jumped on the slant to Chris T. Jones. They come back and test him deep. Now, it wasn't a pump fake. It was just a straight go. But so far, Darnell Walker has been tested, and so far, Darnell Walker has responded. He's only 5'8", and these big Philadelphia receivers are going to go after him. But he's done a good job.
Waters, the lone setback. Pete, blitz coming. Pete goes deep in the double coverage. That one intended for Mark Say, and it's incomplete. It'll be fourth down.
Yeah, that was one he had, and Rodney Peete is hurt. Rodney Peete is injured. And limping it off. He's not wearing, I don't think he's wearing that brace anymore that he was wearing early in the year. He's not wearing the brace anymore. And he's shaking it off.
There's Ty Detmer, backup quarterback for Philadelphia.
And here's where you always worry about the guy receiving his punt, and that is Eric Metcalf.
Tommy Hutton is back to punt it. Second-year man out of Tennessee. Way up in the air. Boy, that one would have escaped clouds if it had been outside. And Eric Metcalf waits for it at 10. It might have brought rain anyway.
Yeah,
Time is called. On the sideline, Rodney Peete trying to shake off that left knee injury sustained when one of his own men fell into him. And apparently he's going to be okay. Let's take a look.
Yeah, this is what's happened when bodies roll into your leg. I mean, remember a few years ago, Randall Cunningham, who now works for TNT, kind of got a guy rolled into him, broke his leg. And same leg that happened in the last preseason game, he had a guy roll into his left leg and wore a brace. But he's going to be okay.
Quick word from the bench is that he will be okay. 1st and 10. Play action. George being chased. Lets it go. Threw it away. And let's take a look at the Nicotrol scoreboard. Minnesota maintains its undefeated status and defeats Green Bay for the 5th year in a row there.
How about Carolina, too? Goes to 3-0.
That was a heck of a game, Kansas City and Denver. And the Cowboys are 1-3. I imagine they're all enjoying that plane ride back from Buffalo to Dallas tonight.
The Redskins bounced back to from their loss to the Eagles and played pretty well.
San Diego jumped out to a really quick lead over Oakland and then won it by 6. 2nd and 10. George left side. That one's caught by Tyrone Brown, number 80. The young man who was playing in place of J.J. Burton.
I was talking to June Jones about Tyrone Brown right before the game, and he was a free agent out of Toledo 2 years ago. His entire college career, he only caught 20 passes, and I said, well, June, what made you think you could make him a run-and-shoot receiver? He said, you can make anybody with speed a run-and-shoot receiver. He has extraordinary speed.
3rd and 1. And Mitch Lyons comes in as a tight end. Yes, they do have one on the roster. Number 86, tight to the right. That's Metcalf in motion. And here is Craig Hayward. That will be close.
Now, one of the knocks on the run and shoot is you can't be a good short yardage team, a physical running team when you need to run it on those 3rd and 1s.
It will be 4th down. This is the only team still running the run and shoot.
Yeah.
Does that make it easier to prepare for defensively or more difficult?
I think although the only team running the run and shoot, everybody runs some form of 3 wide receiver and sometimes 4 wide receiver sets now in the National Football League. So I don't think it's so difficult to prepare for them anymore. As a matter of fact, I think they have to change up some things. The Falcons.
Dan Straczynski is on to punt for the first time, and Mark Say is back to return it. But prior to that, we have to reset the clock. So the Eagles won on the road with a terrific first half at Washington. Then were, as Ray Rhodes said, humiliated on a Monday night in Green Bay. Bounced back with a very convincing win last week against Detroit with 446 yards of offense. And we are scoreless in this game. Only the 17th time these two teams have met. Here's Mark Say. Good downfield coverage by the Falcons' Lorenzo Styles, number 59. And Rodney Peete and the Philadelphia Eagles come back on the field for the third time tonight. We're scoreless after that 47-yard punt with an 8-yard return. Field postgame show, TNT presents a look back at the history of the NFL. 75 seasons, the story of the National Football League, following the Steel postgame show on TNT. Rodney Peete back in at quarterback. Ricky Watters, who has carried 4 times for 15 yards, is in the backfield. Here's his 5th carry of the night. And he picks up about 3. Kevin Turner was chatting with us last night, his fullback, and he said, I hope more than anything else that in his first 5 carries, Ricky Watters gets at least a 10-yard gain, because then I don't have to hear about it on the sidelines. He is a first quarter rusher. Last week, a quick start with a 52-yard gain on his first carry. Take a look at the comparative numbers. Ricky Watters with 111 first quarter yards coming into tonight's game, followed by Smith, Martin, and Terrell Davis. Davis with another sensational game in the loss today, 142 yards for Terrell Davis. Now Ed West, the tight end, is out of formation.
And they have been running a lot of formations, has Philadelphia. Ray Rhodes and John Gruden, the offensive coordinator. There he is. John Gruden looks a little bit like Rick Neuheisel, doesn't he?
He does.
But this is a guy that's done a very good job in changing his plays up, using a variety of players. He's using tight ends, wide receivers, gets the ball to his back, but they're trying to feature Ricky Watters.
Rodney Peete with 12 starts last year after he replaced Randall Cunningham. In his career, which spans 5 years in Detroit, 1 in Dallas as a backup, and last year, that is the most games he has started in a single season. And he said he really feels so much more comfortable this time around.
Yeah, he said right after the season was over last year, went into Ray Rhodes and said, hey, I want to be back. I want to be your quarterback.
2nd and 8, Kevin Turner, Ricky Watters, both in the backfield. And Peete with a blitz. Here comes Ron George, and he finds Watters out of the backfield. My, how many times have we seen Ricky Watters in that part of the game?
Yeah, and Vern, just like I said earlier, I think he is the best runner and receiver combination in the NFL now, surpassing Thurman Thomas. And when a team blitzes, you got to make them pay. And Rodney Peete did there. A quick release, the short pass perfectly thrown so he didn't have to adjust, and so he picks up 15 yards. A good play by Rodney Peete.
Double tight end set on first down after the 15-yard gain. Peete, quick setup, comes left. Caught by Chris T. Jones, and he leans out. Ray Rhodes was telling us last night, I'm going to cure him of that habit.
Yeah, he doesn't like him stretching the ball out like he did right there. Now, he picked up a first down last week doing that, but he's worried about the turnover. And number 82, Chris T. Jones, is one of those emerging stars in the NFL. 5 catches a year ago, has 21, I think, now in his first 3 games.
2nd down and short. Good defensive charge led again by Jesse Tuggle in the middle and Cornelius Bennett. Mo Gardner, number 67, also part of things defensively.
This is a defense that is smallish, very small. And what they have to do is do it with quickness. I mean, you're going to see guys like Mo Gardner, number 67. He's a gap player, a little like Michael Dean Perry. There's Rod Russ, the defensive coordinator. And he's a guy that you're going to put in gaps. You don't want to match him up one-on-one with a big old offensive lineman. 3rd and 1. Peete gets a good cut block. Fires it. It's caught for the first down at the 25-yard line. Flag is down. Yeah, Peete got hit
by Cornelius Bennett. Bennett's going to plead his case, but we may have a 15-yard penalty here, or half the distance.
Yeah, Philadelphia, although there's no score yet in this ball game, Philadelphia has been mixing it up pretty well, Vern.
Personal foul. Defense number 97. Hit to the head. 15 from the end of the run. First down.
That'll be half the distance from the end of the run.
Oh boy, yeah, that is a late hit, and that is going to. Yeah, oh boy, yeah, that absolutely is a 15-yard penalty.
I would expect
that maybe it's a 30-yard penalty.
I think Gene Washington's going to be busy this week looking at that tape, and that may result in a fine.
And it should. That one should.
Half the distance call, first down and 10, just outside the 12. Try to power to the left side, and Ricky Watters moves it to the 10-yard line.
Yeah, John Gruden's got a nice recipe going. You know, you start with a little Ricky Watters, you mix in some Rodney Peete, you stir in some of the wide receivers, and the end result is you got a good drive.
Making a stew.
Yeah.
Look at this red zone productivity this year, Pat.
7 out of 9, and those are touchdowns. Those aren't just scores. And Ray Rhodes is very happy with his inside the 20 production.
2nd and 9. Scoreless first quarter. Say in motion. Fumble. Peete picks it up, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage.
That was not a quarterback draw. That was the old broken play.
Third down.
And this is the most fundamental play in football. The quarterback-center exchange. You know, it looked like Rodney was just kind of backing out a little bit early because the ball did get up there. They had the wrong snap count.
Raleigh McKenzie, the center, joined by Lester Holmes, Joe Panis.
And here's where these big, tall, wide receivers make a big difference for Peete.
Waters in motion. 4-man rush. Peete scrambles, pulls up, dropped. Chris T. Jones, who celebrated the touchdown last week by tossing the football into the stands to his dad. Boy, he's going to hear about his mom on that one. From his mom.
Yeah, that's one. It was a difficult catch. He had to adjust, but one you have to make in the NFL. And he has really had, you know, a terrific start in his second season. But this is one to remember. Didn't quite time the jump right. He was awkward because he was moving to his left. A tough adjustment.
That will bring on Gary Anderson in his 15th year.
And only his 3rd face mask in those 15 years.
Cuts it inside the right upright. And the Philadelphia Eagles, on Gary Anderson's 334th career field goal, have taken an early lead with less than 40 seconds remaining in the opening quarter.
Does that helmet fit?
What an interesting story. Gary Anderson was revisiting the story with us yesterday. He and his parents immigrated from South Africa when he was 18 years old. They did so, he said, because of their disagreement with the apartheid policies of the South African government. They were in a small suburb of Philadelphia. He saw an American football game on television. He had played rugby. Got a couple of footballs, went to a high school field to see what it would be like to kick them. Dick Vermeil, then the Eagle coach, and Lynn Stiles, his special teams assistant, were there, were impressed, invited him to a tryout, in a sense. He was 18.
Yeah.
In between Eagle practices. And as there always are, there were college coaches around, 4 of them to be exact. And at the end of the workout, Gary Anderson was offered scholarships from Indiana, South Carolina, Georgia, and Syracuse. And he said he wanted to go to a warm weather school, so he picked Syracuse.
Well, mind you, he'd only been in the United States for 2 weeks. Had not looked at the map yet. I mean, it all happened in about 2 weeks.
That was pre-dome Syracuse.
Yeah, absolutely. Now in his 15th year in the National Football League, and may well be a Hall of Famer. There's only one Hall of Fame kicker in the NFL right now, Jan Stenerud of Kansas City.
The Norwegian. Here's Metcalf taking the kick from Tommy Hutton, who is doing the kickoff chores. And this has been a problem for the Philadelphia Eagles, their kickoff coverage. Tommy Hutton said last night, it'll be an honor to kick off to Eric Metcalf. And Gary Anderson, are you crazy?
Yeah.
There's Tommy Hutton.
Well, you see Peete to Waters for 15 yards, and then to Jones for 9 more. The penalties set him back, and the 28-yard field goal by Anderson. And they mixed it up. I mean, we saw a rollout by Rodney Peete. They throw the ball to the wide receivers, to the backs. It was a good drive. I mean, the one fumbled snap, though, prevented them really from getting a second shot into the end zone.
30 seconds to go. George has been intercepted once. He's 2 of 4 for 20 yards. Goes goes left side. This one is complete to Tyrone Brown. And a pickup to the 31.
You know, that's the other thing about the run and shoot. That ball was in the air a very long time for a 7-yard gain. And, you know, June Jones gets very defensive about the run and shoot. He and Mouse Davis have been coaching it their entire careers. But that was a perfectly thrown ball, but that ball was in the air a very long time, and they only get 6 or 7.
We've reached the end of one, and the Philadelphia Eagles trying to tie Washington for the division lead. Lead it by 3. Welcome back to the second quarter at the Georgia Dome. Vern Lundquist, Pat Hayden, and a very small crowd. Philadelphia leading Atlanta 3-0. There were considerably more people here for the basketball games and the gymnastics.
And team handball.
There were more people here for team handball. Jamal Anderson is in the backfield now. Started last week. Picked up 181 yards so far in 2 games. And seeing his first action. Long count by Jeff George. Blitz coming. Flips it out. Caught on the near side by Tyrone Brown. And that's a big gain out across the 50 to the Philadelphia 47-yard line.
You can see why coaches really like a lot of things about Jeff George. And everybody talks about the quick release. Well, here is an example of it. I mean, first it was a good audible, a smart play. And then you see Robbie Tobeck, number 61, get a block out in front there. Big old Roman Fortin trying to get some help. Good audible, and then a quick throw and an accurate throw by Jeff George.
First down and 10 after the 22-yard gain, longest first half for Atlanta. Ball officially at the 46. Here's George. Quick setup, quick release, and it's complete again on the right side. That's Eric Metcalf, number 21, with the grab. Metcalf with 104 catches a year ago. Time of possession, overwhelming dominance by Philadelphia.
You know, one of the things as you look at these stats, I think Atlanta, although they have not had the ball much, they have to get the ball in the hands of Eric Metcalf more. That was his first catch of the evening. But this is a guy that can be absolutely dynamic, much like Barry Sanders once he gets his hands on the ball.
2nd and 6. George in trouble, lets it go, incomplete. Hit right after he lets it go by William Fuller, number 95.
Well, you know, the Philadelphia Eagles are running for the 2nd straight week a rush that they call the mush rush. And watch number 59, Mike Mamula, in the white jersey. He just kind of staying there, just checking out, making sure it's not a run first. And Emmett Thomas, the defensive coordinator, kind of named it, the old Texan. And he said, hey, we just want guys not to get upfield too much and run right past the runner. When we played run and shoot teams, it's a bit more run than shoot.
Red Hall was talking with us last night, said you heard a lot about the mush rush only because we held Barry Sanders to 49 yards. If he gains 180, you don't hear about the mush rush. George incomplete. Bert Emanuel, number 87. And that'll be a 4th down. What a contrast in demeanor between Rodney Peete and Jeff George. Rodney with the continuous smile. Jeff George seems in pain.
Yeah, you don't see enough of guys like, I think, Rodney Peete. There's tremendous pressure on those guys, I understand, but he seems to have more fun playing position quarterback than anybody.
Dan Straczynski. Mark Say with a fair catch. Grabs it at the 15-yard line. So the Atlanta Falcons move across midfield for the first time tonight. There's a smile from Mark Say. His team leads it by 3. Irving Fryar has caught 2 tonight. He was an off-season free agent acquisition from Miami, of course. And Rodney Peete talked with us about what the acquisition of Irving Fryar had meant to the club.
From day one he got here in minicamp in the spring, you know, he was full speed and still was as fast, you know, just about as fast as he was when he first came out of Nebraska. And I think the thing that he brings to the team, more so than anything, is his work ethic. I think he is the hardest working player that we have on our team.
That's just the way I play the game. I look at myself not just as a receiver, but a football player. And a football player must block, catch, and run. And I try to do those things. I got 2 speeds, full speed and sleep.
In his career, Irving Fryar has now caught passes from 12 different quarterbacks and 2 running backs, which sounds like a career receiver for the Arizona Cardinals.
you're dying to get that in.
Yeah. Here's Kevin Turner out of the backfield. Flag is down. Jesse Tuggle with the initial contact.
You know, we've seen Turner now pick up a blitzing linebacker, catch the ball there. He's run it as well. I mean, this guy, Kevin Turner, makes this a better and more versatile team. And that's the face mask. May have been on Tuggle. In the middle of your screen. I gotta tell you, Rodney Peete's getting hit pretty good. There was the call on the face mask, but they're trying to strip the ball carriers of Philadelphia, this Eagle defense. And Ricky Watters has a reputation of fumbling. They want to get after him and make him fumble, strip the ball.
First and 2, unusual circumstance, and the handoff goes to Watters. Back to the line of scrimmage, and that's about it. Watters is very sensitive about that reputation he has as a fumbler. 23 fumbles since 1992, and yet he has touched the ball better than 1,200 times.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, they've been effort things. You know, the second effort kind of fumbles, and you know, you always hate to see them, but it's general when he's trying to get those extra, 2 or 3 yards.
Had fumbles in each of the first 2 games this year, none last week. Here's Pete back, blitz coming. He goes deep. He's got by Jason Dunn, his big tight end. And here comes the rookie from Eastern Kentucky, caught from behind and tripped at the 19-yard line. Patrick Bates, number 24, saved the touchdown.
Well, John Gruden, the offensive coordinator this week, said Jason Dunn has an incredible upside. He said he can't do the subtle things real well just yet. But number 87 has got great speed, and you can't match him up with a linebacker. And if you do, we're going to find that matchup, and you're going to have plays like this. 63 yards later, Patrick Bates saves the touchdown with the right hand.
Now they revised it to 58 yards now instead of 63. That is the longest pass play this season. Here's Waters to the 10.
And we talked about him fumbling. Look at his gloves. He has cut out the end of his gloves. This is something new that he's tried to secure the ball a little bit better. You know, Vern, one of those things, fumbling is a tough reputation to get over, like kind of being cheap. You just don't get over those.
Why did you look at me when you said that?
You don't get over that reputation, and guys every week are trying to make you turn the ball over.
I resemble that. 2nd and 3. I just picked my spots. Incomplete at the 6-yard line.
Yeah, when you're being reimbursed.
Intended for Irving Fryer.
And Jesse Tuggle around the ball again. Number 58. Where the ball is, he generally shows up. Mostly it's in the running game, but he stays in at all downs in the passing game as well.
You go back to that big tight end, Jason Dunn, on a yards per catch average. Awesome. 58 yards on that one. He had an earlier catch of 54. He's only caught 3 this season. You do the math.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's his average?
You got the Rhodes Scholarship, not me. That one is good for a 1st and goal, and it's Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, the other tight end. One of 3 tight ends.
The other Jimmy Johnson.
Speaking of Jimmy Johnson, Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer. Yeah, Bates is down. This is now Bates is up. Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer getting a lot of the talk and the play this year, but Ray Rhodes, Coach of the Year last year, is off to another good start. Tight end situation in here. That's Jimmy Johnson. Again, the ball delivered on time and accurately. You give Rodney Peete protection, and you keep people away from his feet where he can step up. Then he can be very, very accurate.
1st and goal at the 2-yard line. Jesse Tuggle with the tackle. You figured it out yet?
I think his average is actually 45 yards for Jason Dunn. I just kind of pick off my shoes and
Okay, toes left. Waters comes right, goes left. Touchdown! Nifty run of 2 yards.
And nifty is a pretty good word for it. I mean, there was some niftiness in it, and there was some power in it, and there were some good decisions in it.
Sounds like a complete package.
Yeah, that is the whole deal. That's the whole run-on sentence. And this is supposed to go over his right guard, Lester Holmes. Nothing there, so he bounces it out, some speed, a little stiff arm, another, then the cutback, and then the power. I mean, it was only a 2-yard run, but there was a lot in that 2 yards.
Gary Anderson for the extra point. And a drive highlighted by a 58-yard catch from the rookie Jason Dunn. They put it in the reliable hands of Ricky Waters. 3rd touchdown on the ground so far this season. 10-zip. Oh, the stats thus far in the game not quite as gaudy as they were a week ago for Ricky Waters. 10 carries, 26 yards, but he got the touchdown. And here's Tom Hutton's kick, and it will be taken by Eric Metcalf. Watch out.
This guy is scary. And I mentioned there's only a couple of guys I think that can change speed and direction like he can. And Barry Sanders is one of those guys. Then you have Eric Metcalf. This guy has returned 6 kicks between punts and kickoffs for touchdowns. And he's got a burst, gets a couple of very nice blocks. The Hutton fell down trying to tackle him. And I tell you, Philadelphia does not have a touchback this entire season. And that's a liability when you're kicking it off to Metcalf.
Well, they're last in the league in kickoff coverage stats. The average starting point for their opponents, the 35-yard line. This time, it's the 45, but Jeff George throws it a little bit behind Tyrone Brown on first down. Brown, getting the start tonight, actually started 5 of 7 games in which he played a year ago. J.J. Burden out with a hamstring and has a history of hamstring injuries, kind of typical for a track star.
Yeah.
Burden was at Oregon.
Tyrone Brown was a track star at Toledo as well, and said June Jones just love his speed, and they're going to turn him into a wide receiver.
2nd and 10. 10 minutes to go in the first half. They hand it off to Jamal Anderson. And Anderson can't find much room. He gets out to the 45, 46-yard line. And Mike Mamula, a lightish defensive end, #1 draft pick out of Boston College, makes the tackle.
Mike Mamula, number 59, you said lightish. Well, he gets blown out here early in this play, but comes right back into it and makes the tackle. So if you keep it moving, you keep the legs going, you keep hustling, sometimes good things happen.
3rd down and 7. Out of the shotgun now for Jeff George. He's 5 of 10. Horton snaps it back. Flags are down. Dead ball foul. This one will be brought back, and we'll find out the penalty.
The Falcons have not run the ball well tonight, and that's been a big problem for them.
It's a mush rush.
Yeah.
False start. Prior to the snap, number 80 in the offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Now, Ray Rhodes was, let's take a look at Tyrone Brown.
It's number 80 right down here at the bottom of the screen. Up, he got the little leg moving, the shoulders moving.
Some part of the anatomy.
Yeah. Legs, shoulders, they generally work hand in hand using another part of the anatomy.
I want to see those shoulders work hand in hand with the legs. That's a picture that's not very pretty to contemplate. 3rd and 12. Is it a good catch? I think it is. Wow. My goodness.
No, it's no good.
Now they finally, boy, there's a delayed call. That looked like a congressional committee meeting for a while.
That's Neely Dunn, the side judge.
Well, he's getting an earful from June Jones.
They've had too much shoot, not enough run so far in this game.
Mark Baltz, the head linesman, now hearing about it. Here's Straczynski with the punt. Mark Say waits for it, and it's returnable. But not very far. Good downfield coverage from Craig Sauer, number 52. And Riddick finally completed the task. Time is called. Welcome back to Atlanta. Philadelphia leading the winless Atlanta Falcons 10-0. 8:37 to go before the halftime break. Let us show you what June Jones did not see.
Yeah, and he didn't have possession, nor did he get both feet in. So that was not a catch and the correct call. Don't blame June for arguing the point, though.
Time of possession, Pat.
Yeah, and, you know, oftentimes time of possession really is not a significant statistic, but it has been in this game. Philadelphia has controlled this game, and they lead 10-0.
First down and 10.
Eagles.
And Pete will throw on first down. Goes left. Darnell Walker, pretty good coverage, and tips it away from Irving Fryer. Coming up on the Fruit of the Loom halftime report, Vince Cellini will have the no-huddle highlights from all of today's action. Mark May, Randall Cunningham will have their analysis. And Ernie Johnson will talk to NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue here at the Georgia Dome. That's coming up on the Fruit of the Loom halftime report. Bobby Hebert.
Yeah, you know, Bobby Hebert's got that new little thing over his back of his jersey now. Have you seen that before the game? A little accent.
Accent?
Hebert.
Make sure you know it's not Hebert. Fryer makes the catch.
Good throw, good timing, and an accurate pass. And Rodney Peete really is playing the best football he's ever played. He played super in the first half of their opener against Washington. Didn't play well in the second half. Did not play well against Green Bay. But then was phenomenal last week when he went 25 of 30, and he's been on tonight.
Ray Rhodes said it was the most efficient game he'd seen Rodney Peete have. What he's looking for now is consistency, and off his start, he's getting it for the second week in a row. Rodney Peete, 10 of 18 for 142. The big pass, 58 yards to Jason Dunn. Play action. Flips it out to Kevin Turner, wide open. And Turner, who's playing before a hometown crowd, he's only 2.5-hour drive from his hometown of Prattville, Alabama, with a big gain of 35 yards.
Yeah, once again, Kevin Turner gets, you know, a big play. Right at the screen right here. He's also going to get a good block from his tight end, Jason Dunn. Kind of suckers a little sucker block. The accurate throw allowed him to get the ball without adjusting much. Picks up a couple of blocks, and then gets another 8 or 10 yards after he first hit. And then the wide receivers, these Eagle wide receivers block really well. I mean, Irving Fryer, I think, is the best wide receiver that has ever blocked.
They hold pretty well, too.
Yeah, he has a nice hold.
He had a good grasp of things, I think. Passing yardage, 177. Atlanta dead last in the NFL last year, giving up yards through the air.
Well, they set up a record last year in pass defense. They gave up 4,541 yards. No one in the history of the league. And we're showing this year's 75-year history after the Tonight Show. Yeah, you will not see anybody give up more yards than they did last year in the passing game.
Ron George injured on that last play. The linebacker, the 5th-round pick from Stanford, started his career at the Air Force Academy. Decided to transfer out and tossed a coin. He had options of going to Harvard or Stanford. You get an idea the guy's got a pretty good career path.
Absolutely.
With those choices. And Rod Rust. David Brandon has replaced Ron George. Well.
Yeah, there's you see what's happening. The defensive coordinators, 24th total, 95, 29th, 94, 27. It just goes on and on and on. And that goes into what we talked about with Jeff George.
Ricky Waters comes right. Patrick Bates, David Brandon, number 51, are there.
We've seen a lot of different kinds of runs from Ricky Waters tonight, Vern, thus far in this first half. We've seen some kind of speed runs, seen a couple catches, we've seen some powerful runs, the run for the touchdown down the goal line, and that was a patient run. And he has a habit of kind of letting the play develop and then cutting back. And for linebackers, he makes it very difficult.
Second down and 5. 10-0. Eagles lead. Pump fake. There's the pump. And Darnell Walker had to grab hold.
Yeah. This was set up. This was set up very early in the game when Darnell Walker jumped that slant route. And they come back to you. Knew they'd come back, but he did the right thing. There. Darnell Walker has played very, very well, and that is a smart play by Walker. Remember early in the game, though, Vern?
Interference. Defense, number 45.
Rodney Peete.
First down.
There's the pump fake on the slant, and then he's going to blow right by him. Irving Fryar would have blown right by him. Walker sees what's happening, and that's a smart play. Really smart play. Save, potentially a touchdown.
Gives the Eagles a first down at the 25-yard line. Slipped the ball to Ricky Waters, and he slips a tackle and gets to the 20-yard line. I've been watching the West on PBS this week, so I'm stifling a temptation to refer to him as Running Waters. I didn't stifle it well enough.
You didn't. You really didn't. 35 yards. They have been tough yards. I tell you, this is a big guy. He's 6'2", 217 pounds, but he's a contortionist as well. And that's a pretty dramatic cutback.
Second down. Oh, big hole. And Waters with a first down gallop inside the 15 to the 13-yard line, and Cornelius Bennett made the tackle.
Okay, this offensive line has done a good job. Remember Joe Panos last night talking to us? He's the left guard, number 72, and saying, hey, when we get him started, when we get Ricky Waters started early in the ball game, our whole team plays better with more confidence. And they have him started.
13 of 43, and Ricky Waters telling us last night that he feels much more powerful now than he has previously in his career. Doing some weight work. Here's Waters. This time the power is not there. Interesting listening to him talk about doing the workout, the well-publicized workout, with Jerry Rice out in the hills of the Bay Area in California.
Yeah, you know, and he said it's so tough to keep up with Jerry Rice, and guys have tried it for years and years, and the first week that he tried it, I mean, they go up that hill. The last part of it is at the hill, and he said, I'm just trying to stay on Jerry Rice's hip going up his hill. He says, if I do that, hey, things are going to be okay. And then the trainer says, okay, Jerry, now you can go. And just left him in the dust going straight up the hill.
Second down, 9. Peete into the right corner for Say. Almost intercepted. Pretty good defensive coverage from Cornelius Bennett. My goodness.
Well, Say was open, and that ball was just underthrown. And Rodney Peete had a perfect matchup. As good as Cornelius Bennett is, you don't want Cornelius Bennett really guarding Mark Say. And that thing came out of a foxhole, that ball.
Well, it would behoove, as you look at it again, it would behoove the Falcons to hold Philadelphia to a field goal attempt here, because this thing is in danger of getting out of hand. Third down. Left side, Kevin Turner. They will hold them to a field goal attempt. Good job of diagnosis of that play. Mo Gardner, number 67, and Ron George, who's back on the field. So Rod Rust's defensive team comes up with a big play when they needed it.
Yeah, you're right. Mo Gardner, number 67, did a heck of a job. He was cut down early in that rush, hustled, got up, and made the play. There he is, number 67, right in the middle of your screen. Heck, he kind of stumbled and still made the play.
Well, Gary Anderson on at the age of 27, and the field goal is good, and that puts him into a tie with the ageless wonder George Blanda. Fourth in the all-time list for Gary Anderson out of Durban, South Africa. 4:14 to go before the halftime break. Philadelphia 13-0. One of their weaknesses about to be tested again. Here's Eric Metcalf, and had a big return last time out. Tom Hutton, a second-year punter, with kickoff chores for the first time since he was a high school senior in Memphis, Tennessee. And this is a pretty good one. This one at the 1-yard line. It's Metcalf, however, so hold your breath. Oh, what a dandy open field tackle. Boy, that is Ray Farmer, the backup linebacker, and that's a terrific effort.
Yeah, anytime you tackle Eric Metcalf in the open field, you're right, Vern, it is a great tackle.
Got a feeling he's going to talk about that on the plane ride back home tonight.
Yep, he should.
So 13-0, and Hutton was injured. Oh, boy. Tommy Hutton. Punter, holder,
yep.
And kickoff man. Young man who...
that could be a serious injury to him.
Walk on at the University of Tennessee. And there is
distance to the goal. First down.
And a really serious injury to these Eagles as well.
I'm not sure against whom they called the penalty. May have been Scott Fields. There's Fields, an alumnus of Bishop Amat High School out in California.
He's a Lancer, my old high school. He's a Lancer. I'm not proud of it. I let that hit.
The Bishop Amat Lancers, huh? Here's George into the flat. Metcalf, watch out. Whoa! He's got one man, gets a block downfield from Bert Emanuel, and then is caught. The coverage caught up with him at the 22. Eric Metcalf.
You know, Vern, excitement per touch, he rates way up there. Maybe the highest in the league. Because that is only the second catch he has tonight. Returned 2 kickoffs. One big kickoff return. And he can change direction and accelerate only like Barry Sanders. I mean, just phenomenal. He gets one more block from his wide receiver. He scores.
Pretty good job defensively of Troy Vincent in saving the touchdown, but a 67-yard completion for Eric Metcalf from Jeff George in a 13-0 ball game. Play fake, George. Touchdown, Emanuel.
Yeah, boom, boom, Metcalf, and then Emanuel, and you're on the scoreboard. 23-yard touchdown pass. And that was a perfectly thrown ball.
That is only the 3rd touchdown scored by Atlanta in 2.5 games this season. The first by somebody not named Terrence Mathis.
And that is a big play when they need it. Trailing, 13-0, and they get right back in the ball game on 2 passes.
Straczynski to hold. Anderson knocks it home. And just like that.
And it started with Eric Metcalf. And it finished with another wide receiver, Bert Emanuel. And this is, again, one of those frozen ropes by Jeff George. Perfectly thrown pass. Couldn't do anything but catch it up here at the top. Off a play-action fake. I mean, Metcalf attracts a crowd on that play, too, and that set up Bert Emanuel to run the post route. Yeah. Rodney Peete was happy earlier, and now Jeff George has a reason to celebrate.
Still not smiling, but there's no frown. And Bert Emanuel, who he grew up in the Houston area. His dad is director of flight safety for NASA. And he went to UCLA, where Terry Donahue chose a guy named Tommy Maddox to start at quarterback over Bert Emanuel. So he went back home, and he graduated from Rice with a degree in economics. And he is now a full-fledged receiver. You don't refer to him anymore as the former quarterback.
Well, they have 2 starting wide receivers they've converted. One was a quarterback and one was a back.
It all began for him in the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, when he made his first appearance as a wide receiver. Here's the kick. And Derek Witherspoon gets it out near the 18-yard line. There is also a flag at the 25-yard line.
I don't know whether that really qualified as a drive really for Atlanta, 2 plays, bang, bang. Went a long way, though. 90 yards.
67 and 23. I can use that. I can add that without using my toes.
The Metcalf, that got it started. Anytime Eric Metcalf touches the ball, you sense the potential of the play. And Vern, we talk about excitement per touch. I mean, there really isn't anybody in the NFL I think is more exciting when he gets the ball in his hands. The object is get the ball to him more often in open space, and he's going to give you plays like that.
After the holding call, that's the 67-yard run. Here is Metcalf. Guy McIntyre in at left guard. Joe Panis at right guard. Here's Pete. And he finds Irving Fryer out to the 20-yard line. That should be enough to give the Eagles a fresh series of downs. A 67-yard pass from George to Metcalf, the longest offensive play of the season for Atlanta.
You know, and the run and shoot burn needs more vertical plays. They've had way too many horizontal plays, and you get the ball to Eric Metcalf, and he's going to give you a lot of vertical plays.
First and 10. Ricky Waters gets one.
And now the Falcon defense has to step up. I mean, you got and there's the timeout. And guys like Cornelius Bennett and Jesse Tuggle need to step forward and give Jeff George another chance and give Eric Metcalf another chance.
First of the 3 timeouts used by Atlanta. 2:10 to go.
Cornelius Bennett right down here, number 97. He has had, again, a very good first half. Now, it helps when you don't get blocked, but he was not there. There's a guy you'd want to block. I mean,
seems like a good concept.
Very good. You block him, you block Jesse Tuggle. And, you know, this is not a big defense. And you try to run right at him. I mean, these defensive linemen are smallish. And look what happens. The Eagles have the defensive line, 270-71. There's the Falcons, ranked 29th. NFL average, 284. Who are the biggest guys? The old Pack. Right there at 300 pounds. And, you know, a lot of teams are going to run right at the Falcons because of their light in the defensive line.
2nd and 9. Pete with a quick setup. Oh, boy, Bennett almost had it. Cornelius Bennett almost had the pick.
You know, Cornelius Bennett, we talked about his versatility. Over his career, he's had 19 fumble recoveries, 53 sacks, forced 20 fumbles, intercepted 6 passes. I mean, it's a real smorgasbord of play he's had.
And he'll pick up a check now and then.
Yeah, but occasionally that's a good thing to do. Yeah, there's no backup to the window, though. He earns it. I mean,
3rd and 9. Rush coming from the outside. Pete steps up. Caught and dropped. And we've reached the 2-minute warning, and the Falcons are going to have one more chance with the football. Travis Hall gets his 2nd sack of the season. Atlanta trails by 6. 1:59 remaining before halftime. Tommy Hutton telling us last night it is an honor to kick the ball to Eric Metcalf.
Oh, boy.
Metcalf getting set to return it. He's returned 6 for touchdowns in his career. And Tommy Hutton, bruised on the last kickoff, has to kick with a bruised right leg. He's a lefty, but that's his plant leg, so see if there's any effect now.
It may be an honor to kick to him, but you sure don't want to tackle him.
There's the snap and the punt. Metcalf has it at the 43. Dances across the 50 into the arms of James Fuller, number 22, recently signed by the Eagles this week.
Well, but don't expectations rise when Eric Metcalf gets, you know, the ball in his hands?
Truly do. Did you ever see his dad play?
Yes, I did. Absolutely. And much like Eric, a dynamic player as Eric is.
Terry Metcalf, great star for the Cardinals back in the mid-70s. And now 1st and 10, and Atlanta seemingly on the ropes.
Yep.
With Philly driving, leading 10-0, and they held them to a field goal on that series, and then came back with a quick strike. Now George out of the shotgun. They have 2 timeouts left. There's the quick delivery to Metcalf. Makes 2 guys run into each other. Whoa! And this may come back. Here's the flag.
They're going to call a clip on Bert Emanuel. I'm not so sure. But Bert Emanuel, the wide receiver, trying to pick up a block for his other receiver, Eric Metcalf, on his side. I'll tell you, when you're struggling, you get your best players the ball, and Eric Metcalf is that for the Falcons.
It was an 18-yard gain.
Yeah, from the right of the screen, number 87. And I take that back. He did get from the back. It's a good call. I'm wrong again. That was a clip.
That's one for tonight.
Yeah.
An illegal block in the back. Number 87 of the offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat first down.
Now, the thing about the Falcons, though, and we talked about at the very beginning of this broadcast, once you cross the 50-yard line, Morten Andersen, your kicker, becomes a premier player. He's had more... June, you don't want to do that on television. He has had more 50-yard field goals, 30 of them, 50-plus, than anybody in the history of the game. He had 8 last season.
8 of 9 last year, and what he says was his best year in the 14 years at that time he kicked the football. Here's the snap back. Right side. Emmanuel gets a clearing block from the tackle, David Richards, who'd gone out there. Rather, Mike Zandowski it was, not Richards. 72 instead of 62. And they'll move the chain. 1:22 to go. They have 2 timeouts left. They'll not use one here.
I'll tell you one thing. Let's continue to try to get the ball to Eric Metcalf.
13-7. George. Jamal Anderson with a one-handed grab. They'll use a timeout now with 27 seconds to go. Jamal Anderson, 7th-round pick a year ago out of Utah.
That's a heck of a catch, Vern, and he's smiling too, and he should be. 234 pounds, but soft hands. Now, this guy has had a good season for these Falcons. I mean, he can stiff arm you, as he did in their last game. He can run. He's a power runner. He can outrun some people, and then he can make a one-handed catch, as he did right there.
Time is called. Jamal Anderson, 7th-round pick from Utah, grew up, of course, in the Los Angeles area. His dad, James B. Anderson, served as a security guard or a bodyguard for, among others, Muhammad Ali, Richard Pryor, and Ray Leonard. As a matter of fact, his father was a guest at my wedding in 1982.
And how did that happen?
Well, I was glad you asked.
No, I know you. I'm just here.
Yeah, I was doing a series of shows with the former welterweight champion, and James B. Anderson was his bodyguard, and Nancy and I got married. James B. was a guest. There you go. He's vacationing in the Virgin Islands tonight, so he's not watching. George. There's Anderson with another grab.
Another one-handed catch. He is featuring the left hand tonight, if you've noticed. But he has rather large hands. And again, he's just scooping that ball up with the one hand.
35 seconds to go. 3rd and short. George. Emmanuel, that'll be a first down. They'll stop the clock with their final timeout. 24 seconds, and there the presence of Morten Andersen if they don't get the touchdown.
Yeah, and that's the fear sometimes, that your play calling is affected because of Morten Andersen's effectiveness. You still have to remain aggressive. And for these guys, for the Falcons to be able to go into the lead at halftime, and they can do that if they score a touchdown, would be remarkable the way this game started off. Jeff George, I think, he has his critics, Vern. You know, I'm high on the guy because I think he's a tough guy. Started all 16 games last year. Is strong in the pocket. Hung in there, and then dumps the ball. And then he comes right back at the next play and throws a perfectly thrown slant pass to Bert Emanuel.
He was chatting with us the other day about what a tough offseason it was for him. He had the contract negotiations, which did not end successfully for him in Atlanta. And his father, to whom he is extraordinarily close, suffered a heart attack in the spring. And Jeff said his dad's fine, but it was frightening. Coming up, the Fruit of the Loom halftime report. It's a first down and 10 from the 20 with 23 seconds to go. And the Falcons out of timeouts. Eagles ring 4, screen pass. How about that call with no time left? Oh, and a fumble, and it's picked up in midair. Now fumbled back. And on a change of possession, if the Atlanta Falcons get it back, the clock will stop with 9 seconds to go.
Yeah, and you got Morten Andersen still in field goal range. I mean, Bobby Taylor, I think, was the one who picked it up.
Right.
The defensive back for the Eagles.
Let's go back to the original call. Screen pass, no timeouts left. 23 seconds to go.
Unless you tell your guys you've got to get out of bounds, but it should be a wide receiver screen if you're going to do that. But you're right, a strange call in the middle of the field. There's the fumble, forced by William Thomas. Picked up by Taylor, and he got face mask too. There's the face mask. That should have been a penalty right there on number 80, Tyrone Brown, and then the scramble for the ball. But that thing should be back at least 5, maybe 15 yards, but it's irrelevant when Morton Anderson's kicking it.
And on the change of possession, of course, the clock stops, so we have 9 seconds to go before halftime, and here is Anderson with the field goal. Morton Anderson, 3 of 5 for the season. The 2 he's missed, he said he missed by a couple of inches each time. There's no miss on that one. Four of 6 for the season for Morton Anderson. And it's good from 43 yards out with 4 seconds remaining. And the Eagles' lead has been shaved to 3.
Well, and I think June Jones can't be terribly happy with the way his team played, but he has to be happy with a couple of big plays by Eric Metcalf in particular. Had a big kickoff return, and then the long pass reception. They gave them a chance to get the touchdown. So they've hung around. They haven't played pretty, but they've hung around and only trailed by 3. You know,
Atlanta, like Philadelphia, playoff team last year, both made it as wild cards, but really a tough start. Yet, as we said at the outset, Pat, you know, you lose to Carolina, Minnesota first 2 weeks, and you think, but now 2 of the undefeated teams. Exactly.
I'll tell you, Kevin Green for Carolina is off to a great start. Another good game today. Really gave these Falcons a tough time in their opener.
And did you hear the word about LaShawn Johnson in Arizona's win? The running back, 214 yards down in New Orleans. His career totals prior to today, 32 carries for 101 yards.
So is that a career day then? At least so far, huh?
Oops. That one bounces off the leg of Marseille. He picks it up at the 10 and is cut down on the final play of the half at the 15-yard line. Well, 2 birds under glass, and we've got a tasty dish served up for you thus far.
I like that.
Paul Tagliabue, commissioner of the National Football League, will be along with Ernie Johnson as a part of our Fruit of the Loom halftime report. 13-10, Eagles over the Falcons.
You buy Isuzu, makers of the Trooper, Rodeo, and the all-new Hombre pickup. Isuzu, equipment for real life. And by Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar, America's favorite neighbor.
Ready for the start of the second half. The Eagles jumping out to a 13-0 lead. Then Atlanta with a quick strike offense. They go 90 yards in 2 plays. The 23-yard touchdown pass made it 13-7. And the halftime stats, the 4 yards rushing. Extraordinary. Now, they've only run it 3 times thus far. And
they said coming into this game, they wanted to start out establishing the run. June Jones, he's looking for the running game right there. But actually, I think it's a collection of pictures.
That's a high school annual. That's the Lancer. That's the Lancer annual. That's from Bishop Lamont.
I looked good in '69, didn't I?
Scott Fields gave it to him.
Well, guess who's going to may return this kick again? That guy, number 21, who changed this game around in the second quarter.
Here's the kick by Hutton. This is a dandy. And that will be the first touchback of 1996 for Tom Hutton and the Philadelphia Eagles.
And that's the way you take Eric Metcalf out of the game. I mean, touchbacks make 21 players obsolete on the field.
Nice job by Hutton, young man from Memphis. Walked on at the University of Tennessee and then came to Philadelphia as a free agent. Said the first couple of weeks last season he wasn't so sure he wanted to play in the National Football League. But it's worked out well for him. Now Jeff George. And Atlanta trailing 13-10 in the first half. George, 13 of 19. Intercepted early in the game. Had the quick strike of 67 yards to Metcalf and then the touchdown to Bert Emanuel. And Craig Hayward is back in at running back, and the Falcons will open in the shotgun. Roman Fortin, center, over the ball. Comes the rush from the outside, caught by Terrence Mathis. And a quick 11-yard pickup and an out-of-bounds
At 15.
penalty. Barry Wilburn, number 45. Ray Rhodes.
Well, concerned about his team. The personal foul against the Eagles came into this game with 25 penalties in 3 games. This was an easy call. Kind of a little slip out in the flat by Terrence Mathis, excuse me. And he was 3 yards out of bounds when he got hit by Wilburn. And so 11 yards, you add 15 more to it.
Moves the ball to the 46-yard line. Barry Wilburn, who started his career with the Washington Redskins, there for 5 years, out of football for a couple of years. Went to Canada, sat out another year. Now in his 2nd season of that checkered history with the Philadelphia Eagles. Whoops, is that a lateral?
On that ball. That's a
lateral.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And here's Mathis in jail.
What looked so promising for a moment ends up being a disaster. In a loss of, what, was that 25 yards?
23, close. Good eyeball.
Just off by 2. And that was a backwards pass, which means it's live. I mean, heads-up play by Mathis. He realized that when he scooped it up. This is supposed to be a little screen to the backside to Mathis. And he had to jump because of the pressure on Jeff George. But it's a live ball because it was a backwards pass. And he's directing traffic, but there's nobody to direct except the Eagles.
Mathis hurt in a play after the 23-yard loss. That won't ease the discomfort. Time is called. On the sideline, Terrence Mathis trying to... Now you got me doing it. Terrence Mathis.
Blame it on me.
It's contagious. 13-10. After the loss of 23.
Just like you.
2nd and 33. Spread the blame around. It's a good offensive scheme. They hand it off to Craig Hayward. And Hayward picks up just a couple. And there aren't many folks here, but they can let you hear. Mike Zordich.
Boy, Mike Zordich played well in their opening win against Washington over Labor Day weekend. He was phenomenal in week 1, playing almost like a linebacker against this run and shoot.
Signed after 5 years with the Phoenix Cardinals. Now June Jones on 3rd and 31. Out of the shotgun. Freddie Scott has taken Terrence Mathis's place in the lineup. Good protection. Quick release, and Metcalf has it for 30. It'll be 4th and 21.
Yeah, and a good open field tackle again by Mike Zordich. And I don't think that's a bad call. At 3rd and 31, there's not a whole lot you can do. You give your best receiver, a guy who can do something with it after the catch, Eric Metcalf, a chance. But Michael Zordich just made a terrific open field tackle.
Here's Dan Straczynski, and Mark Say waits for it. It will be returned. Juggle, fumble, and who got it?
I think the Eagles got it back.
Yes, they did.
Ray Rhodes, all coaches hate turnovers, but Ray Rhodes really hates them. And he's been unhappy with his special teams, particularly his return teams. And there's Danny Smith, the special teams coach of the Eagles. He's got some gum in there, doesn't he?
There is no gum left at that pharmacy. And here's the fumble. Mark Say is hit. It pops out, but takes a fortuitous bounce into the hands of Bobby Taylor. Second fumble recovery for Taylor tonight. Time called. Back at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, in time for tonight's GMC leaderboard with our score 13-10. Former USC quarterbacks, Bill Nelson leads the charge. And with the touchdown pass last night, Rodney Peete broke a tie between Vince Evans last week, rather.
Well, you know, this isn't fair. If you count all the interceptions for touchdowns, I have way over 100.
Not quite that many.
That's not fair. Well, let me take these off.
Rudy Buki, they caught you, didn't they?
Yeah, it got me.
Ricky Waters. Left side, Chris T. Jones.
I hate when the producer talks to you alone. I know got you's coming up. Well, we talked about emerging players. I mean, LaShawn Johnson, you mentioned him from Phoenix today, and this guy, Chris D. Jones, 5 catches a year ago and has been phenomenal. Not as big a story tonight, 3 catches for 23 yards, but this guy has size. He's 6'3", over 200 pounds, and he's got power, and he's fearless over the middle.
Second down and 3. 13-10 ball game. Hand off to Waters, big hole. He's on his way. It's a foot race. Waters from the 10, touchdown, Philadelphia.
Hey, Vern, 2 different types of touchdowns. That is a 56-yard run. The other one was only 2 yards, and it was a power run. So Ricky Waters, after putting on 20 pounds this offseason to get some more strength, still has breakaway speed. He catches the ball. He can go 56 yards as he did right there. And he can give you a powerful 2-yard run like he did in the first half. He has had a terrific season. He had a good season a year ago. Rushed for 1,300 yards and 62 catches.
Gary Anderson with the extra point. Ricky Waters, back-to-back games in excess of 100. He had 153 last week. After that 56-yard gallop, he's got 101 tonight. Ricky Waters, 101 yards on the ground tonight, 16 carries, 56-yard effort, second longest of his career. And now Tommy Hutton getting ready to repeat the honor of kicking off to Eric Metcalf. And this one will be returned from the 2. Here's Metcalf. Sylvester Wright, number 52.
If you're going to bring down Eric Metcalf, that's the way to do it. You get your face right in his numbers. Sylvester Wright, number 52. Perfect tackling position, squared up, and he goes down. That was a good tackle on a very dangerous kickoff return man.
Down at the 22-yard line. And here comes Atlanta trailing 20-10. Bert Emanuel comes wide right. Terrence Mathis is back here in the slot. They hand it off to Jamal Anderson. And Anderson with 6-yard per carry average gets only 1 on that one. Let's go back and take a look at that scamper by Ricky Waters.
Well, the reason that we should look at is watch the block of Kevin Turner, number 34, on Jesse Tuggle. I mean, anytime your tailback, your running back, gains over 100 yards, the offensive line's doing a good job, and your fullback, your lead back, is doing a job. And Kevin Turner has saved his quarterback on his blitz, throws the key block there for Ricky Waters, and has caught a couple passes tonight.
20-10, it's second down and 8. George with a quick setup. Caught, dropped, and sacked at the 13.
That's one you just have to get rid of.
William Fuller.
Yeah, the mush rush was on that time. And actually, there was no mush in that rush. He got there.
Remember Emmett Thomas and Ray Rhodes talking to us about the mush rush? To take a look at Fuller.
Yeah, no, that wasn't the mush. That was the full-on rush.
Who is the lead dog in the mush rush?
I mean, well, that time it was William Fuller. It had to be.
Without question. Third and Miles. George feeling pressure again. Puts it up for grabs. It is caught by Bert Emanuel. Here comes Wilburn.
No.
And he knocks him out of bounds. That's going to be very close. No, it's not. What am I thinking about? Yes, it is.
No, it is close. It was third and 19.
For the first down,
and he
right.
got at least 18. And you said he threw it up for grabs. Most quarterbacks should say don't ever throw that kind of pass. But when it's guys like Jeff George and John Elway and Dan Marino say it's okay to be able to be running one way and throwing the ball across your body is usually a no-no and ends up in interceptions unless you have an incredible arm strength and you have a wide receiver that works back to your quarterback, as Bert Emanuel did there. And comes up a yard short.
There's a flag down And Straczynski's punt. Mark Say for the fair catch at the 32.
If this is against Philadelphia, that will be a first down for the Falcons.
Atlanta.
June Jones is a relaxed guy. Always looks like his, the insurance has just lapsed. Never gets too excited about things. Played quarterback for the Falcons. Coach Rodney Peete for a couple years in Detroit.
Illegal formation on the kicking team. That penalty is declined. First down.
Frank Gans, the special teams coach, a role he's fulfilled with a variety of teams, a one-time head coach at Kansas City. 9:36 remaining in the third quarter, 20-10. Eagles, they scored last time out on a 56-yard run from Ricky Watters. Now, Guy McIntyre, Angus, the longtime guard who played with such distinction with the 49ers, is in at left guard, and Joe Panos has moved to right guard. Backs are split on 1st and 10. Irving Fryer. That one could be picked off. No, it's caught by Watters. He took it away as McKyer went for the grab and missed it.
Yeah, who has stronger hands? And it's Ricky Watters. Even if he does have, the fingers cut out on his gloves. I mean, this is the one that looked like Tim McGuire was going to catch and score on. There, Ricky Watters keeps the ball alive by tipping it with his right hand. And again, Ricky Watters has done a variety of things that have helped this Philadelphia team tonight.
Third catch tonight for Watters. Second down and 3. And he darts over right guard. Joe Panos and Raleigh McKenzie. Yes, McKenzie helping him out. And there's Fryer and Patrick Bates exchanging words.
You were mentioning Joe Panos a moment ago, and last week after Ricky Watters had the big game, he took his entire offensive line out for dinner. And they went to Bookbinders there in Philadelphia, and he had the full complement. He started the shrimp cocktail, then the lobster bisque, followed by some salad. Then he had the surf and turf, then some cheesecake, all with some Dino. Setting Ricky back a couple grand.
3rd and 1. Pete, good block on Archambault. Pete dives for the first down.
He's short.
Yeah, he did not get it. And Joe Panos trying to help with the block, but that's going to come up short, and it'll force a 4th down. Panos was saying that the heaviest eater among the bunch was Lester Holmes, the right guard. 6-pound lobster.
Well, Lester goes 305.
He was 307 when he left.
Wait, but he ate a 6-pound lobster. How does that work?
Wait a minute. Yeah, well.
Never mind. There's Lester.
There's Lester. There's an answer there, but I'm not going for it.
A 6-pound lobster would fit in that box. And
any bets on a bib?
No. When you're that size, you do not wear the lobster bib.
There's the measure. Interesting, Joe Panos was telling us, Pat, that they were in the middle of the final drive against Detroit, and Watters said, okay, guys, we're going to dinner. And he claims he invited the entire offensive team. Only 8 people picked him up on it. Joe Panos, whose parents immigrated from Nistali, Greece in the late 60s. He was born in Wisconsin and played collegiately at the University thereof. Here's Tom Hutton, born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee.
This team needs a punt clock right now.
Well, the return's on all the way. Metcalf, fair catch. Whoa, he bobbled it. Out of bounds, tackled at the sidelines, and it'll be Atlanta's ball, but something fairly rare, a mistake by Eric Metcalf. Call for the fair catch, misjudged it. There's a whoops. Atlanta trails by 10. 7:38, Philadelphia leads it 20-10, and the Falcons trying to play some catch-up. Look what happened during the timeout.
Yeah. Well, Cornelius Bennett is putting on a new pair of pants, and there's a couple of guys don't want anybody watching. Buckling them up. You know, last week we saw some of the trainers putting things on Bill Romanowski and tighten up his jersey. We got pants on Cornelius.
You don't want to change pants and forget to button them up. First and 10, George. Across the middle, tip, intercepted by William Thomas. What an athletic play by William Thomas.
Hey, Vern, he had 7 interceptions a year ago, more than any linebacker since 1983, and that's why he stays in a nickel. William Thomas is their middle linebacker when they play nickel and they play run-and-shoot teams. A year ago, 7 interceptions. This is his first one tonight. See the way Jeff George kind of turns the ball around? That was a pass rush interception, though. He got hit as he was throwing it, but really a remarkable recovery and catch there by William Thomas.
Greg Jefferson, number 79, made contact with George about the time he released it. And the turnover, 3rd of the night now. 2nd interception off George gives Philadelphia the ball at the 23. Here's Ricky Waters.
And remember, you mentioned it earlier, Philadelphia came into this game only having created 1 turnover prior to tonight's ball game, and Ray Rhodes said that we need to be creating a lot more turnovers. They were -6 in the turnover category coming into tonight's ball game.
They had given it up 7 times, 1 takeaway. That was last week. Bobby Taylor's interception, 2 takeaways to 2 interceptions tonight, and a fumble recovery. 2nd down and 9. 6:55 to go, 3rd quarter. Waters, elusive at the line of scrimmage inside the 20 to the 17-yard line, and Mo Gardner makes the tackle.
Vern, another sensational block by Kevin Turner, who absolutely buried Ron George. He's on the left right here. And watch him block right here. And he just puts him on his back.
On the sidelines, Bobby Hebert begins to warm up. So we might see him instead of Jeff George next time Falcons have the ball.
Whoops.
Barrett Brooks again. 2 holding calls and a motion call last week.
In the same drive.
Yes, exactly.
And they still scored.
There's Bobby Hebert.
I mean, so many teams we have seen in the National Football League.
Prior to the snap, number 76 for the offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
That don't have backup quarterbacks that can win football games. This Atlanta Falcon team does. And Bobby Hebert was really looking for the opportunity to start at the beginning of this year. There was some doubt whether Jeff George would come back. He thought he was going to open up against Carolina.
3rd and 9. Waters in motion. Pete across the middle. Tipped and incomplete. Intended for Jason Dunn, and Patrick Bates leveled it.
Let him have it. And Jason Dunn was wide open.
Ball was high.
A little bit high. When you get people in his face sometimes, he'll get some high passes.
Ouch.
And there's Bates. And he knew he had him. Yeah, he knew he had him for really a big play, potentially a touchdown. He smiles, as we've talked about, more than any quarterback in the game. He enjoys the game. I mean, while he's playing, it's easy to enjoy it on Monday after you win.
Gary Anderson from 39 yards out is perfect.
Boy, this one's been straight down the middle. I mean, he's not missing the middle by much. I was talking before the game, and he said, 15th year, only 3 face masks, so. Had 2 in Pittsburgh. 1 was broken when it was perfect snap. Good hold there by Hutton, and then directly through the uprights.
And a new snapper this year, Morris Unatoa from Brigham Young.
Yeah.
That one was a good one. Gary Anderson said he came here at the age of 18. He's only made 1 trip back to his native South Africa. That was in 1989 on his honeymoon. But obviously he and his family, his father passed away a few years ago. His mom still lives in the Northeast, or the Midwest, actually. And Gary thrilled with the way things have evolved in that tortured country.
Well, you know, both these kickers we talked about have so many parallels. And really, you know, neither one of them has seen a professional football game till they came to the United States, and they both may end up in the Hall of Fame.
Here's the kick by Hutton. Squib kick this time. Taken short. And returned to the 31-yard line. Looks like it might have been Styles. And here's Bobby Hebert. And the reaction of a few folks who are here. Jeff George for the night. Pretty good numbers. 16 of 23, 219 yards, but 2 killer interceptions.
And he is sporting, you know, a new little accent over the E.
Cajun accent.
Yeah. He's got the little thing over the E. And he was pretty excited about that before the game, too.
I saw him really animated about it. First and 10, Bobby Hebert about to throw his first pass of 96. And it's complete into the flat to Jamal Anderson. And Anderson is down by Barry Wilburn and Mark Woodard, number 57.
You know, that's the thing about coming in as a backup quarterback in the run and shoot. There's no easing into the game with a couple of handoffs. You come in chucking. You know, and Bobby Hebert, you know, we talked about Jeff George being courageous and being, you know, started 16 games in a row last season, all 16 games. Bobby Hebert is another one of those guys who's been a tough quarterback throughout his career.
Second down and 5. Most of that career spent with the New Orleans Saints. Second and 5. 23-10 the score. They hand it off to Jamal Anderson, and there's nothing there for him. Boy, the ground game tonight thus far.
It's awful.
Minus 14 yards. Now, that includes 23 yards lost on a lateral. The negative yardage given to Terrence Mathis.
Yeah, but there's been no run in the run and shoot tonight. And not enough shoot, as they've only scored 10 points.
Third and 4. Hollis Thomas and Greg Jefferson in defensively.
These guys are going at it.
Yep. Boy. Oakland's looking closer for Jeff George. A lot of speculation. That's where he's going to wind up next year. That pass complete. Bert Emanuel.
But a relationship with the head coach and the quarterback is a very, very important thing for a football team that hopes to be a playoff team. And it sometimes can be a fragile team, as we saw those two jawing at one another. You know, June Jones thought when he signed his extension this summer of his contract, Jeff George in turn would sign an extension as well. It didn't work out that way. And that kind of conversation may seal his fate.
First down and 10. Hebert almost bobbles the snap. Jamal Anderson picks it up and gets a yard at left guard. Just to go back to the June Jones and Jeff George relationship, June was telling us on the phone the other day that, you know, he's had great success coaching quarterbacks, being a former quarterback himself. And if that's the deck of cards, the way the cards fall, and Jeff George is gone, he will coach whomever takes his place next year.
You know, I still believe Jeff George is the guy you want to attach your wagon to long-term here. He's only 28 years old, but he will be an unrestricted free agent after this season. And he'll be in demand, Vern.
Second and 9.
Mamula, go deep, go deep.
Hebert settles short. And they get it to the 44-yard line. Downfield, Bert Emanuel was well covered. He was not open. And Jamal Anderson makes the grab.
It was old Mike Mamula, who was listening to Bobby Hebert's snap count. Cajun snap count, got him. And it's one of the things about this offense, the run and shoot. You don't have a lot of deep patterns, but when you have a free play, some guys have to go deep. But everybody, you got one here, you got one here, you got one here. Everybody's short. Bobby Hebert is looking for somewhere to throw it deep, then finally has to dump it off to his halfback, Jamal Anderson.
Now, here's an interesting decision for June Jones and the Falcons. They gained 7 on the play, would have given them a 3rd and 1. But they take the penalty 5 yards, so they lose 2, and they get an extra down. What do you think? You haven't given it any thought.
I hadn't given it enough thought. Well, I was actually thinking about if something happens to Bobby Hebert, who played quarterback for these guys.
Dan Straczynski. Jamal Anderson. Not there, so they're going to need the extra down.
Because they're one of the few teams, the Falcons are one of the few teams that only carry 2 quarterbacks. And, you know, when you have a guy like Jeff George who started his 46th consecutive game, you know, you take your chances.
We talked with Dan Straczynski before the game. He runs the scout team in practice.
Yep.
Now, you might think Bert Emanuel, who was a college quarterback, but Emanuel is a full-time receiver now, so Straczynski is the 3rd team quarterback. Here's Hebert, caught by Mathis, first down at the 37-yard line.
Yeah, that's good. And again, just to explain the rules, now that Jeff George has come out of the game, he can't come back in as a starting quarterback. Let me correct that. If Straczynski, the 3rd team quarterback, goes in, and we've been talking about Straczynski, if Straczynski goes in, then Jeff George can not go back in.
First down and 10. Hebert wants a bunch. Emanuel's down there. Almost picked off by Brian Dawkins.
Looked like a punt, Vern.
It did.
Yeah. I mean, that had a lot of wobble in it. One of those, you know, option passes. You kind of catch it at either end.
I've seen Geese with better fly patterns.
I think ever since he got that little accent over the E, he hasn't been throwing the deep ball very well. You notice that? With Brian Dawkins, the rookie free safety out of Clemson, the number 2 draft pick, probably should have picked that one off. No, I think he should have picked it off.
Yes. 2nd and 10. Hebert 3 of 4 now. That's his first incompletion. Shotgun. 3-man rush. Hebert picked off by William Thomas. That's his 2nd tonight. Breaks the tackle and is still running.
Boy, oh boy. Some guys just have, you know, you talk about a nose for the football. We mentioned he intercepted more passes than any linebacker since 1983 last year when he intercepted 7. Now, he hadn't intercepted a pass yet this year, but he has picked off 2 in successive drives. Or series. He's right here. And reads the pattern, reads the quarterback, and boy, there was some coverage around the receivers there. Terrence Mathis was covered.
And William Thomas with a return of 37 yards. Bob Whitfield injured on the play and coming to the near sideline. 4th turnover. Well, Ray Rhodes wanted turnovers tonight.
He's got them. He hopes to save some of these for next week when they play Dallas on Monday night.
Backs are split on first down. Pete Waters. Pretty good lateral pursuit by Chuck Smith, number 90.
He is strong. No, he is strong. Ricky Waters. I mean, he's given us a variety, a lot of different kind of runs. That one was just a power run. He bounced outside and never goes down. I mean, really gave Darnell Walker quite a shot. Yeah, look at that record.
1982. Yep. Last time they lost, Wilbert Montgomery had 116 yards in a loss. Actually, it was an 81. End of 81. Here's Pete Tick. Diving try. Devin Bush couldn't get it. Yep, what might have been.
You know, the Falcons struggling, but Devin Bush, number 25, and he's the strong safety. 2nd year, was the number 1 draft pick a year ago. Their free safety is Patrick Bates. Vern, you've talked about him a little bit. After sitting out all of last year in a dispute with the Raiders comes here, and they've got two pretty good safeties. Tip ball. But Devin Bush is a guy that's around the ball a lot.
3rd and 8. Back split behind Rodney Peete. Peete 16 of 27. 199 yards. Blitz coming. They pick it up, but good downfield coverage, and Peete is dropped. He may have gotten back to the line of scrimmage. Travis Hall with the tackle. And if he got back, it will not count as a sack. It is a sack, 2nd of the night.
Yeah, Cornelius Bennett, number 97, in spite of his team's frustrations, continues to do everything he can to help his team win. I mean, he's been covering wide receivers down the field. He's rushing passers. He's playing linebacker.
And on
what? 3rd? Is it 3rd down? They haven't changed the sticks yet.
4th down. They haven't changed the down marker on the far side. It still says 3rd. Yep. Go ahead.
Why isn't it a punt?
He didn't say Simon says.
I mean, why isn't it a kick? Why aren't they attempting a field goal?
I have no idea. 4th and 9. It would be less than 50 yards for Gary Anderson. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're not kicking or attempting a field goal.
It would be from the 31. It'd be a 48-yard field goal. They will disdain that. And Hutton is on. And they'll try and draw them offside, take the delay of game, and go back 5 yards.
Well, maybe
actually no delay of game. It's the end of the quarter.
We still may see Gary Anderson.
He hopes so.
Yeah.
End of 3. 23-10. Back for the start of the 4th quarter. Vern Lundquist, Pat Hayden, and a little bit of a surprise here. Ray Rhodes opting not to try the 48-yard field goal. Keeps Hutton on, and they'll go play a field position.
I'm very surprised. It will only be a 48-yard field goal attempt with a very, very good kicker. You're only up by 13 at this point.
All-out rush. Hutton gets it away, and there's the last thing in the world you want.
Yeah.
Into the end zone.
You know, that's a net, 11-yard punt?
For Ray Rhodes, his defense now faces an Atlanta team that takes over on its own 20. Next Sunday night, Pat and I are going to move our debate to the nation's capital. RFK Stadium. The Washington Redskins off to a 3-1 start. Terry Allen, Gus Frerotte, RFK Stadium. They'll be playing the Jets.
Oh, geez, that is really cruel of you. That really is.
Yeah, they lost 13-6 today. The Jets said it.
Yeah, I didn't catch that one. I was watching another game.
You thought Kansas City and Denver was more compelling? I don't understand. 1st down and 10. Left side. Whoa. Whoops. Goodness. Tyrone Brown, Jeff George pulled late 3rd quarter at the end of 3. Philadelphia, 446 yards last week, and look at the rushing yards, Patrick.
Yeah, minus 11 here, 110 here. At the very beginning of this broadcast, we said for the Eagles to win tonight, they had to get Ricky Waters running the ball early in the ball game. They did that, and that's why they lead by 13 points right now.
2nd down and 10. Mathis in motion wide to the right. By Bert Emanuel at the 22-yard line, but it's going to leave a 3rd and long.
And when the Falcons have had some success, and this year and last year, they've been able to get the ball to those little wide receivers in open space. We saw it once tonight with Eric Metcalf. But, you know, you give Eric Metcalf a little bit of room. Get him the ball where he can catch it and make something happen. A lot of good things are going to happen to you, but they have not done that enough tonight.
3rd and 7. Down by 13 with 14-12 to go. Again, a 3-man rush by the Eagles. Hebert comes left, finds Mathis short of the 1st down. They'll have to punt. It'll be 4th and 1 at the 29.
Well, I'm not so sure. Well,
Think they'll go for it?
Well, you wouldn't go, but again, you run and shoot team. You're not a great short yardage team. They haven't been. They missed in a short yardage run with Craig Hayward in the first half, but.
And tonight, you've got Anderson with 5 carries for 8 yards and Hayward 3 for 4. So they will punt it away. Here's Straczynski. Marseille waits for it, has it at the 20. And he's got a lot of room. A flag is also down near the line of scrimmage. Here's Say, dances down the sidelines and out of bounds at the 25. But hold everything. A flag thrown before Marseille caught the punt.
And we got another Eagle smiling, and rightfully so. I mean, the Eagles have put together a complete game tonight thus far.
Personal foul against Atlanta. Frank Gans, the special teams coach. Well, all we know is that early indication, personal foul, post-possession, apparently
We have
so.
a personal foul, slugging on number 51 of the kicking team after the return. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
David Brandon, number 51. So a 56-yard punt return by Marseille will stand, and then they'll tack on the penalty. 13:25 remaining in regulation. Eagles with a 13-point lead. And David Brandon found guilty of slugging during the return. Half the distance. Gives Philadelphia a first down and 10 at the 12-yard line. Jones and Fryer both break off to the left. Kevin Turner, Ricky Waters in the backfield behind Rodney Peete. Waters, a little stutter step behind the line. He goes left and moves it inside the 10. Tim McKyer.
You know, the really good football teams, the National Football League, Vern, can beat you, 3 different ways: offensively, defensively, and on special teams. And Ray Rhodes was able to squeeze 10 wins out of that team a year ago. A team, I think, without him that may have only won 7 games. But he squeezed everything he can. And this year, again, he's squeezing a lot out of this team, including good special teams for the first time this season.
Second down, 5. They'll give it to Waters. He goes left. Guy McIntyre with a pull. Still a great pulling guard, even at the age of 34.
Yeah, Guy McIntyre, number 62 for the Eagles. They rotate him in the offensive line. I mean, you see a lot of defensive linemen kind of rotating in these days, and they bring in Guy McIntyre, who plays up to a little bit more than a quarter. And when he comes into the game, they like to pull and lead and have him lead Ricky Waters.
3rd and 4. That puts Joe Panis at right guard. McKenzie still at center. Play action. Pete looks in the end zone, and a man well covered, and it's incomplete. Kevin Turner went deep, 9 yards, but good downfield coverage in the end zone. And Clay Matthews, number 57, is in there at the age of 40. He was a teammate of yours in Southern California, is that right?
In college, he was a teammate of mine, yeah. That's how long he's played. I talked to him right before the game. He said, "This is it. This is my my last season. I'm going to." He said, "I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Probably coach high school football, maybe."
Amazing career.
Yeah, he really has.
12th pick in the 78 draft. How long ago was that? The first pick that year was Earl Campbell. He's already in the Hall of Fame. And Gary Anderson gets his 3rd field goal of the night. It comes at the end of a 56-yard punt return and a penalty that set all that up.
A lot of Eagles smiling.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, and it is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Atlanta Falcons and the National Football League is prohibited.
Not too far from Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium, where this afternoon the Braves cinched the NL East championship. I think there may have been twice the crowd there today that we have here tonight. We're at the Georgia Dome. And let me amend the effort of Gary Anderson. He's got 4 field goals tonight. Here's Metcalf with Williams. And he's got Hutton to beat. And Tommy Hutton, who thought it was an honor to kick off to Eric Metcalf.
Isn't that the second time he's had to get in Eric Metcalf's way?
Right.
And Eric Metcalf has returned 8 punts and kicks for touchdowns. Top of the screen, he's right in here, I believe that is he. That is our man, Tommy Hutton. You know, it looks like he's kind of a kid that brings your groceries out to the car, you know, but uses the sideline as a friend, took the straight arm in the face, did a good job.
Well, we've been teasing him a lot tonight. He's a very mild-mannered young man from Memphis. And last night it was really fun when he said it would be an honor, and Gary Anderson said, "Are you nuts?" First and 10, Atlanta. Bobby Hebert continues at quarterback. 26-10. Left side. Tyrone Brown makes the grab, and Mike Zordich comes up.
Ouch.
A little late.
Yeah. And again, one of those things about this offense, or any offense, when you catch that ball there in that hook route and you're not moving with the ball, you're going to get pummeled. And he indeed, Tyrone Brown, got pummeled. There's one. Bobby Taylor's got a hold of him first, and then Dawkins, and then a few other friends, including Michael Zordich.
Second down and 4, 26-10. Hand off to Jamal Anderson. Gets a block, leads right, picks up the first down at the 30-yard line. Troy Vincent. And a statistical note, Pat, we talked a lot about the minus rushing yardage, and you'll recall there was what we thought was a lateral back early in the third quarter. That was initially accredited as a 23-yard loss rushing to Terrence Mathis. They now have amended that. They just did, and they've made it a 23-yard loss on a fumble given to Jeff George. So the rushing yardage, if you care about this, is 12 yards.
Geez, I'm confused. Could you go through that again?
Now it's 19.
Yeah, with that one. Yep.
I just wanted to see.
Huh? You know how do they get the passer ratings too?
I'm just getting ready for Washington. I'm getting long-winded. Bert Emanuel, first down at the 10.
You know, I'm kind of surprised that the Falcons, I am very surprised the Falcons are not in a hurry-up mode. You know, the score is 26-10, and yet they're lingering around in the huddle. And you know, there's 10 minutes left in this ball game, and you would think they'd be getting in and out of the huddle a lot quicker, you know, with still an opportunity and a chance to win the ball game. And they're spending way too much time in the huddle.
Play clock down to 14. Three on the play clock. Hebert deep left side. At the goal line, no flag. Bobby Taylor, who's a big cornerback, 6'3", 207.
Yeah, you know, all these Philadelphia defensive backs are big. And you have to with these athletic and big wide receivers that are playing in the NFC in particular. I don't think, you know, he had his right hand on it. The crowd has reacted. They saw a replay, thought it was pass interference. That's kind of an athletic move for a 6'3" guy.
Well, he had a genetic advantage. His dad, Robert, won a gold medal in the 400-meter relay at the Munich Olympics.
Yeah.
And a silver in the 100. Into the end zone, incomplete. Intended for Mathis.
What I don't understand, though, about Bobby Taylor and his jersey.
Right.
I mean, he's the only Taylor on the Eagle team.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he's got that initial B on there. You know when Jeff George has a J on his, because there's a Ron George on the, there's the J George.
Right.
And they have a Ron George, so he has R before the George on his name, but there's only one Taylor on the Eagles. So explain that to me. There, see? That makes sense to me.
Okay. B. Taylor.
B. Taylor didn't make sense.
It's a motto. Be a Taylor. 3rd and 10. Hebert pumps once. Emanuel. It'll be 4th down.
You have to go for it here. You're down by 16 points. You need the 3 scores. And you need a field goal at some point, but you sure would love the touchdowns first. And there's, speaking of names, you see the little accent over the E on Bobby Hebert.
Is that accent different than an umlaut?
Yes, it is. Or a tilde. But this is an important accent for Bobby Hebert.
4th and 3. Again, if you let it go, and it's knocked down. William Thomas got the penetration. He's already gotten 2 interceptions tonight.
Yeah, this is what you call draping yourself with eagles. William Thomas has played really well in the pass game. 2 interceptions, and then on a big 4th down, he causes the incomplete pass.
Give you a little nighttime tour of downtown Atlanta. We're in the Georgia Dome, lower right. Right there, nice.
Yep.
And, of course, that was the site of basketball and gymnastics in the Olympics. Right there.
Yep.
That's the Omni.
Yep.
Okay, what else we got?
We got Centennial Park right over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, inside the Georgia Dome, 26-10. Rodney Peete hands it off to Ricky Waters. Archambault and Travis Hall collaborate for the tackle. Now let's take a look at the slate's scoreboard. NFL action week 4. And the Eagles trying to tie the Washington Redskins for first place in the NFC East. Carolina undefeated. Carolina undefeated.
Yeah,
Isn't that something?
Sounds, Dom Capers, did a great job last year. Continues to do it this year. Ray Rhodes, as we talked about, squeezing 10 wins out of that team a year ago.
San Diego hangs on to defeat Oakland by 6. Peete will throw from his own 1. Tipped away by Tim McQuire. And incomplete. Tim McQuire, longtime member of the 49ers.
You know, we were talking about the Olympic venues, and I was in here for some of the Olympics, but, Kerry Strug performance took place in this venue. And
now, were you here for that?
No, I did not see that performance, but I thought it was the most clutch performance I'd ever seen in sports. I mean, at the time.
Well, they're playing where they played basketball right now.
Yeah.
This is where Monsieur Barkley and friends held court. I was in Greece when they played the Greek team, the Dream Team. Bless them. Some of the folks in Greece thought their guys would overcome the cigarette habit enough to actually give the Americans a game in that one. It didn't happen.
Some guys don't have quit in them, and Cornelius Bennett, whom we just saw there, number 97, is one of those guys. I mean, now his team is 0-3, or will be 0-3 after tonight's ball game, but he continues to play well.
Hutton to Metcalf. Dances by one man, Brian Dawkins, and returns it to the 42-yard line.
Bobby Hebert looking in his own good book. This is a book where it actually has all the photographs of the defense, and somewhere in there you do not see William Thomas because they keep throwing the ball to him, so he must not be in those pictures.
Now Bobby Hebert has stashed the photo album, and he's back on the field. Hebert for the night since coming on in relief of Jeff George, 8 of 14, 55 yards. And first and 10, Atlanta at the 41. Into the flat, caught by Jamal Anderson.
See the straight arm?
There's the stiff arm.
Yeah.
Said he learned it from his dad. We've been told by those who've watched him play now for a year and 3 games, he's got the best stiff arm ever. And he had a play last week or 2 weeks ago when they lost to Minnesota. 2 stiff arms on 1 play. It was extraordinary.
Yeah, that was a pretty good stiff arm there. This is a fellow, Jamal Anderson, that they think is going to have an opportunity to be a powerful runner. I mean, he's throwing away Bobby Taylor, 6'3", 216 yards, 16 pounds. And then he gives you a shoulder, too. A straight arm and the shoulder.
2nd and 1, out the shotgun. 3-man rush by the Eagles. Hebert, nobody open, right side. And he might have struggled enough to get the first down. He's at the 31.5. Mike Mamula with the tackle.
Now, Mike Mamula, a lot's been said about Mike Mamula and how smallish he is for a defensive end, and people like to run at him. But Ray Rhodes and Emmett Thomas, the defensive coordinator, was saying, hey, he's playing the run okay, but we still believe he's going to be a very good pass rusher, a 10 to 12 sack a year kind of guy.
3rd and 1. 6:17 go in regulation time. Quarterback sneak. A flag is down, which may negate the play.
Well, this has to be a disappointing game for the Falcons after a bye. I mean, to go 0-3 when the expectations were so high, they finished so strongly last year, lost in a playoff to Green Bay, but beat the 49ers in the last regular season game.
Offense, number 65, 10-yard penalty, repeat 3rd down.
That's Roman Fortin, the center.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks ago, in a very close ball game, his holding call late in the game wiped out a 12-yard gain in 3rd and 3. And June Jones and the Atlanta Falcons wound up losing that game 23-17. So now it's 3rd and 11. Again, a 3-man rush. They drop 8. Here's Hebert going deep across the middle. Got it complete. Tyrone Brown, first down at the 15.
This is really good patience in the pocket by Bobby Hebert, because there's a big rush to his right. He can feel it. He can sense it. They double team Mamula. Zandowski does a good job, but then he drills the ball to Tyrone Brown. That's a good play by Bobby Hebert.
Yeah, after the good play, he's sacked at the 20-yard line. Kevin Johnson, number 94, and William Fuller, number 95.
You know, we talked about this being a disappointing game for the Falcons. I mean, fundamentally, they have not run the ball. And they came into this game saying we wanted to run. Only 19 yards rushing on the evening, and that is just not good enough.
2nd down, 15. Hebert, Anderson, another one-handed grab by Jamal Anderson, but another flag.
Boy, Bob Whitfield.
Oh, you're showing your age.
Bob Whitfield hold a guy. And I don't know if they're going to call it on Bob, but Big Bob, he got his paws on someone.
Did he give way to Norm Van Brocklin, perhaps?
Oh, it's a large man, and when you're that large, sometimes it is hard to hide.
Whitfield.
Holding, offense, number 72, 10-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
It's not on Whitfield. It was on 72, Mike Zandowski.
Yep.
And wipes, that puts him back at the 30-yard line.
Bob got away with one then. That is now the 10th penalty for 90 yards against Atlanta. They haven't run the ball, they have 10 penalties, and they've turned it over 4 times. That generally means a loss.
Tough to win. Hebert, left side. Oh, gee whiz, Bobby Taylor on Tyrone Brown. Clean hit, solid hit.
Yeah, Bobby Taylor has played great for the Eagles this year. I mean, last week he was against Herman Moore. You know, he had an interception, knocked 3 or 4 balls down, made some good tackles in the open field, and he continues his fine play right here. That's a heck of a catch, though, by Tyrone Brown to stay with it.
3rd and 15 from the 20. Right side this time. And Bert Emanuel makes the grab and goes out of bounds at the 12. That still leaves them 7 yards short of the first down. And they will no doubt go for it on 4th down. Bobby Hebert, now 34 years of age in his 11th year.
This Falcon team now has only had 3 touchdowns in their 3 games, and you know, they still had a chance a moment ago. I mean, it's 26-10. They could have punched it in for a touchdown. They'd be right back in this ball game, but they have not been good inside the 20 tonight or this year.
4th and 7. Left side, got it, Mathis, touchdown. His third touchdown in the last 2 weeks, 2 games.
Yeah, they have now scored, 4 touchdowns this year, and he has scored 3 of them. And a good read, first of all, by Bobby Hebert, and then knows he has to get some mustard on it. Knows it's going to be a tight throw. Gets it over outstretched arms of one defender, Dawkins, and in front of Bobby Taylor. And Terrence Mathis holds the record for 2-point plays as they go for them. He has 5 2-point conversions in his career, Terrence Mathis. Number 81.
Mathis in motion to the right side. Puts it in the end zone. Mathis has 6.
Well, you know, you kind of feature a guy down there. He's got a knack inside that red zone. I mean, he's only 5'10", 180 pounds, but he gets great position here, and then athletic. As he waits for the traffic to clear, he's falling down, still concentrating on it. And Bobby Hebert really just did a good job. But you always have to pick up the blitz. They did with William Thomas, number 51. And that's a good play. His 6th 2-point play.
And how important might that be? It's now an 8-point ball game with 4:11 remaining, and both teams have all 3 timeouts left.
You know, well, there have been 6 2-point play attempts today in the NFL this Sunday. That was the 3rd conversion of it. I was just about to say, Vern, you know, as ugly as the Falcons have played tonight, they've hung around. They've hung around.
Trailing by 8 with 4:11 remaining. Now, you pointed out they needed 3 scores.
Yeah.
A decision on their last trip inside the 20 to not attempt the field goal. They went for the touchdown and did not get it. Here's Morton Anderson to kick off. Taking it to 3. Derek Witherspoon. Watch out. Witherspoon. No flags down. Derek Witherspoon. Backbreaker. Touchdown. See if Ray Rhodes can smile.
December 17th, Derek Witherspoon did it 86 yards versus the Cardinals. He goes 97 tonight. And Ray Rhodes, who said, hey, I'm really upset with my return teams. They've had a couple of good returns by Witherspoon tonight. And that'll knock the Falcons out, including Woody the Woodpecker there. Again, right up the middle, you see the wedge to the left side, everybody holding hands. In arms, locking arms. That was the wedge that allowed Witherspoon to kind of slip through, and then Morton Anderson just took the wrong angle, and Witherspoon's going 97 yards. And just when, you know, the Falcons, you think they're back in the ball game, special teams puts it away.
Witherspoon, 2nd touchdown in as many years on a kickoff return. This one, 97.
Boy.
And the Philadelphia Eagles, who have the Cowboys at home a week from tomorrow night, if they win tonight, will find themselves tied for the division lead, not with Dallas,
well, actually, they're
with the Redskins.
Half game up because they beat the Redskins in opening day. But, you know, and we were talking to a bunch of Eagles last night, and there's the NFC West. Carolina, what a surprise. Dom Capers done a heck of a job there. But we talked to some of the Eagles last night about Dallas's start.
That was kind of tough. 33-18 with 3:55 remaining. Well, Ray Rhodes, he and his wife Carmen have 4 daughters, the youngest of whom is an 11-year-old named Raven. Ray says she is a huge football fan, and after they lost to Green Bay, she waited up for Ray to come back home. When he got there, she gave him a dressing down. Raven said, Dad, it was ugly. You're embarrassing me. I've got to go to school tomorrow and face all my classmates. Don't you think about me? Raven, I think you can go to school tomorrow.
Well, you know, she also, every Friday they play a video game against the team the Eagles are going to play. She always rigs the game so that the Eagles win on Friday. Well, they're winning on Sunday, too.
Metcalf. Might he have another one? Not quite. But you always sit on the edge of your seat when he's got the ball in his hands. Dawkins makes the tackle. Ray Rhodes was telling us last night he's also his mom, Tommy, from Mahia, Texas, is here, as well as his older brother, Robert. They made the trip in. It's funny because his demeanor on the sidelines is so serious. He is really a very warm guy, very gregarious. Ask him a question, you're going to get a blue book answer.
Yeah. But boy, has he done a job for the head coach.
So funny, last night he was recalling his first ideas of becoming a coach in the National Football League. First down and 10. Of course, he played as a defensive back for the Giants. First and 10. Hebert finds Tyrone Brown out to the 39-yard line. That's going to be close for the first down. Ray Rhodes said his first year of retirement, he was hired as an assistant by George Seifert, and he and Kaz Banasek were essentially graduate assistants, not making much money. And they used to spend hours in the office. Here's first and 10 after the last play. That one to Mathis is good to the 45. Ray said they were sitting in this little tiny cubicle looking at film at 11 o'clock one night, and it was like the 8th straight night they'd been there. And Banasek said, Ray, what's wrong with this? What is so difficult about this that we can't figure out? He said Banasek lasted 1 year. He obviously is going to be around a long, long time. Left side. Tackle made by Zordich on Eric Metcalf.
And he really said it really wasn't until he had some success going up the coaching rung that he really thought he had a legitimate shot at being a head coach. You know, first he was a kind of a gopher, and then he was an assistant, and then he got a coordinator's job, and then he knew he could be a head coach in the league.
Behind the intended receiver, Troy Vincent, doing the defensive work on Bert Emanuel. I like these cornerbacks.
Yeah, they got some size. They're tough. And just finishing up on Ray Rhodes, you know, the other thing he was saying, he said, I went through a couple of interviews knowing that I wasn't going to get the job. But I wanted to go through the process to understand the questions that would be asked of me as a interviewee for a head coaching job. And he's always prepared. So we went through a couple of those interviews where he knew he wouldn't make it hard, but it's worked out well for him and the Eagles in Philadelphia.
Second and 10. Hebert into the flat for Terrence Mathis, who gets out of bounds and stops the clock with 2:19 to go. Well, in a losing cause tonight, Eric Metcalf with a big night. 284 all-purpose yards. That is a Falcon record.
It's nice, but it doesn't mean squat when your team is losing 33-18.
Nor does it mean diddly.
Yeah. Or what else is there out there? Zilch.
Yeah, Zilch. Zilch.
Nada.
Nada. Get a word in for the cat. 2:19. Jeff George pulled in the third quarter after his second interception of the night. Hebert has thrown one touchdown. Goes deep across the middle. There's another interception. This one to Brian Dawkins, number 20. And the rookie safety looking for a convoy. And he put a move on Metcalf and is finally knocked down at the 47-yard line.
Yeah, now Eric Metcalf knows what it's like to tackle Eric Metcalf. I mean, he really did put a move on Eric. And Brian Dawkins is a guy that Ray Rhodes, you know, doesn't really go, is not overwhelmed by players a lot. Doesn't necessarily go overboard when he's describing players, but he really likes this Brian Dawkins. Now, this is an easy interception. This is thrown right to Dawkins. And again, not much of a spiral on it, just a wobbler.
You're being kind.
Yeah. The option pass, catch it at either end. Then he's trying to pick up some blockers. And then the move on number 21 is going to come a little later in this run. on Eric Medcalf. And this is what, that was right there. And that's what people fear when Eric Medcalf has the ball in his hands.
Eagles came in -6 in turnovers. They're going to leave -1. That's the 5th turnover tonight. There's a flag down, and Waters, oh boy, he almost popped it loose.
Well, he is a clever runner. I mean, he can be patient, he can be powerful, he can be fast. I mean, he has really come on the last year and then into this season.
Well, flag thrown, and here's the indication. Offside, Atlanta. Walt Coleman.
Although I'll tell you, I would get Ricky Waters out of this ball game. I don't think there's any real need for Ricky Waters to be carrying the ball anymore.
Offside, defense, number 90, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down. 2-minute warning.
2 to go. 1:57 remaining in this one. Philadelphia 33-18. Ricky Waters, Pat, a big night.
Yeah, and just when you thought the Falcons were going to get back in the ball game, there was one big play after another that would kind of knock them out. This long run by Ricky Waters, then the 97-yard kickoff return by Derek Witherspoon. And again, that can create some tension on a team, and it did.
And so can this.
Yeah.
A conversation between June Jones and his quarterback, Jeff George, after he was pulled in the 3rd quarter. And that conversation continued for quite some time.
And June was telling him to get down to the other end of the bench.
33-18, 1st and 5. Ricky Waters.
Get him out. Get him out of the game. There really is no reason for Ricky to be in this ball game. Right? He is too valuable to this team to be in the ball game right now.
Cornelius Bennett with the tackle.
We called his name quite a bit tonight.
Yes. Well, Rodney Peete was talking with us last night about the wide receivers, and he said we really upgraded ourselves at that position. And one of the upgrades, here's a pass to first class, Irving Fryer.
If you think of us as Eagles, I think we're like an eagle who is big enough to be pushed out of the nest now. And our head coach, Ray Rhodes, has pushed us out of the nest. And we can either flap our wings and start flying, or he's going to have to swoop down and grab us and pick us up and regroup again. So I think if we start flapping our wings and spread out a little bit and explore a little bit and experiment a little bit and have a little faith in our own abilities, I think we're going to be just fine. I think we're going to go a long way.
They will find themselves tied for the NFC Eastern Division lead after Week 4 and after tonight. And they get the Dallas Cowboys, a wounded Dallas Cowboy team, at home on Monday night, a week from tomorrow. Then a bye week to let the bruises heal. Then at the New York Giants, and 2 home games, Miami and Carolina. Looks pretty favorable.
You know, Miami and Carolina are 2 pretty tough tasks.
Yeah, but they get them at home.
Yep. Makes a big difference.
In the vet. And for Atlanta, boy, it's a grim start at 0-3. This, by the way, is only the 2nd time they will lose after a bye week since the bye was instituted. They've got to go on the road to San Francisco, an angry 49er team, then at Detroit. Then they've got a strong Houston team at home, then at Dallas and Pittsburgh.
And think about the run and shoot again. You really can't change it up a lot. I mean, if you're not passing the ball well, you don't have anything to fall back on. You know, there's no real run to fall back on. And was that sign clever enough to
I don't think it
pass muster?
No. Our standards have been lowered. The guy was prescient, I'll say that. He anticipated well.
Yeah, that one's a little bit better. That's a little more creative.
That's good.
Yeah, the post-game show right here. They're right there. They're even promoting our post-game.
That's a home game for Ernie Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's probably Ernie's family up there promoting the post-game show. There he is.
Ah, yes.
Nice clip-on tie he's wearing again.
Stay press collar. The Steel post-game report with Ernie. I don't think Jeff George is going to be a guest.
No.
33-18. 90 seconds remaining in this one.
You know, he's had a troubled past in terms of bouncing around. You know, signed at Purdue, then went to Illinois, thought about going to Miami for a while, started his career in his hometown in Indianapolis, and may end up somewhere next year, somewhere else other than Atlanta.
Want to hazard a guess?
Well, the Raiders keep talking about him.
And far be it from us to quiet the rumors.
No.
Here's Tom Hutton. Metcalf waits for it. Fair catch. Up over his head. And look at this bounce. Everything is going the Eagles' way tonight.
Yeah, the old Blada again. But, you know, in spite of Jeff George's performance tonight, he will be in great demand. And Mr. Hutton is happy about things. There are going to be a lot of teams that still want him.
And I would guess he starts next week, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I think this is Gene Jones trying to get something going tonight. And
it didn't. Smiling Rodney Peete. Yeah.
Life is good.
Yeah. You notice all the NFL quarterbacks do have the baseball hats, the caps, the sponsor deals. Yeah. Some of them wear them frontwards, some of them wear backwards. You like that look, don't you, Vern?
Yeah, I'm going to adapt that. It's going to go over big in Steamboat Springs. An aging man in a backward baseball cap. Here we go. Jamal Anderson. I was reminiscing with Pat last night at James B. Anderson. Jamal's dad was a guest at the rehearsal dinner at our wedding in 1982, and James B. assumed that Ray Leonard was going to pick up the check because he usually did. This was my tab. He tried to order $65 bottles of wine. Intercepted. Zordich. That's 5 interceptions tonight.
Yeah, Ray Rhodes is saying save some of these for next week, fellas. And June Jones has got a lot of work to do. Well, Bobby Hebert has had a tough night, as the starter quarterback Jeff George did. But give Emmett Thomas, the defensive coordinator, some credit. They shut these guys down. They took away the run first, and then they forced 6 turnovers, 5 of those being interceptions.
They came in -6. Guess what? They're even. And the Eagles are tied with the Redskins for the NFC Eastern Division lead.
And here's all the plays there in John Gruden's tummy. And a lot of those worked.
Kneel down with 37 seconds to go. The executive producer of Turner Sports, Mike Pearl. The NFL on TNT, produced by Peter Lasser, directed by Lonnie Dale. Coordinating director is Larry Cam. The host producer, Craig Berry. Replay producer, Joe Vencius. Our technical director, Dennis Stone. ADs, Lori Brooks and Ted Ballard. Senior unit manager, Stephanie Bradley. The tech managers, Mike Ross and Tom Cox. The graphics, Brady Bass and C.J. Botita. Our stage manager, Gigi Sweet. Our spotter, Joe Cash tonight. And our stats, Dave Yaggy and Josh Ross. Got them all in.
You did. Well done.
Home game.
And
How about
thanks to everybody.
2 interceptions, 2 of the 5 for this young man.
And a big play on 4th down.
It's over in Hotlanta, and the Eagles win it 33-18.